Good evening and welcome, everybody. That was quite a upbeat song to get us started. I would like to thank you for showing up for yourself. This is the Autonomy Season 11 Global Meet and Greet. We usually have it in two parts because the first couple seasons it went like 6 or 7 or 8 hours, and we decided to split it into two events so that you can hear from graduates and you can hear from people who have been in your shoes where they didn't know what was going to happen. There's a lot of unknowns, a little fear, trepidation, intimidation, introversion, all these things that they broke through a series of weeks, months. For some of them, it's been a couple years. Once you start working on yourself, you're going to find that it's kind of like what you're always meant to do. No matter what direction you're going in life, you got to learn to work on stuff. And so, learning how to show up for yourself is the first major lesson of this course. Many of us didn't learn that early enough, and learning how to do something, say, I'm going to do this thing. I don't know how to do it yet, but I'm going to devote time to learning how to do it. And every obstacle and challenge that shows up in my way, I'm going to learn how to navigate around those, through those, overcome those, learn my way around such obstacles and to get to my goals. And learning how to do that for ourselves, it's much like shaping a gemstone. So if we were in this metaphor, uncut, unpolished gems, do I have the right to shape and polish you? Do you have the right to shape and polish me? Isn't this something we should all learn to do for ourselves? And in the midst of us learning to do this for ourselves, we see each other getting into the interactions, getting into the exercises, actually getting our feet wet, getting experience, getting confidence that comes from competence and learning how to do things. And that's kind of like the scuffing. So there's a famous poet, Rumi, who said it very, I want to say poetically, but it's a distilled condensation of the big idea. And it goes like this. How can you ever expect to be a polished gem if you can't take the least little first scuff? Right. So this meeting is like the first scuff. If you can do this, if you can log into a Zoom call, if you can hear me, if eventually at some point in the meeting later tonight or on Sunday, you want to unmute, you want to introduce yourself, this is all par for the course. Everyone here has done exactly what you guys are doing in this setup. So tonight, I would like to welcome graduates of autonomy, people who have been through at least once and they have finished graduation, and they're going to share with you their pro tips, things they would have wished they knew back when they started. And if they did know it when they started, it's usually because a graduate showed up voluntarily to share some of the wisdom from the well of experience that they drew during their first couple sessions through this course. So I would like to first introduce the Chief Operating Officer of all things autonomy, Leah Boone, and our sidekick overseas, Martin. He's staying up late tonight. He's our technical wizard. Over here in America, it's really cool. Like, it's the epitome of Americanism to be a cowboy. Cowboys have guns and hats. Well, over in Britain, it's like wizards. And so Martin has a magic wand. He knows how to make everything technically hop to it. And I want to thank them for facilitating tonight, as well as Colby. Colby's tonight's shadow host. And you guys can see him there. And Colby did not know how to do this when he first went through the course, but he saw it's a valuable skill set to have to be able to facilitate and conduct meetings and to allow the presenter to focus on the presentations and not necessarily the video clips and the music in the waiting room and clicking the buttons in the chat and all that stuff. So I have a team behind me in order to be able to do this. So don't think it's all just like a one-man show over here. I don't know how to press many of the buttons that need to be pressed for any of these events. And that's good because I've learned to delegate and not be such a control monger over the years. So with all that being said, Leah, how are you doing this evening? Oh, Leah can't unmute Colby. We have to give her permissions. See, Shadow Host helping out already, demonstrating the talent and techniques it takes to facilitate a meeting. Leah, can you hear me now? Lesson number one for tonight. Not everything goes right the first time. Should we quit? Should we feel sorry for ourselves? No, I think we should just try again. We will persist despite the resistance. And we call this aspect of the tech doing it live. We're getting it done to make sure that everyone can be heard. I now see that Leah can unmute. Now, am I able to be heard over there in Leah land?
Yeah, I can hear you, and now I can unmute. Hi, Richard.
Good evening. Now, a lot of times everyone has to, it's muted for everybody for the safety of the meeting so that the presenter can present. And in times like that, it's someone like Colby who has to go through the participants and find the person to unmute. All right. So, Leah, can you explain to the audience just a short overview of what it takes to even put together a meeting like this tonight?
Yeah,
There
it
was a
takes
lot of
a
messaging and
yes.
scheduling, and I threw wrenches into it while I was away with my family. And yes,
Well, that was just today. I mean,
that
we've
was just
been
today.
working to set up season 11 for 2 months now, right? There's a lot of things that have to happen, but even just today, the production meeting and all the little things that have to go off, one thing after another in sequence, it takes a lot of planning. It takes a good team. It takes people, having professionalism and having skill. And luckily, we have that team, you know.
Yes. Everyone who works with us is an autonomy, they're an autonomy graduate. So we have that culture of excellence, we have the attitude of gratitude, we have the be excellent to each other, plus a whole bunch of applicable technical skills and interpersonal skills. So it's the communication, it's the scheduling, it's the ideas. There's a whole bunch to anything that you guys see on the internet as consumers of things on the internet. This is learning how to be a producer of yourself and eventually to be able to reflect it back out through the internet. So that's just one small aspect of the course, but I think the public speaking aspect and all the other things that kind of are the secondary learnings of the course are some of the most valuable. I mean, the most valuable, if I want to say a tertiary aspect of the course that we hardly even advertise, is the community and the continuity of people's friendships and camaraderie and working on projects and building different skill sets. Any given time, we bring in somebody who doesn't know what they're doing and we teach them what they're doing. And then they learn, right? It's like look over somebody's shoulder. This is how they're doing that. And now that person can go over here and do this thing. And we have ability to get more things done. So, to that end, we have graduates here tonight. I want to see who wants to be the first courageous, intrepid individual to break the silence tonight and to introduce themselves to the season 11 new students.
Oh, I will.
Oh yeah, how you doing?
Yes, I will.
I like that background, Joanna.
Thank you. I got it at PorkFest 2021. Everyone should go to PorkFest. I don't know. Are you still doing that?
The Porcupine Freedom Festival, yes, is still the official festival of autonomy this year.
Awesome.
It's in June and it's right before graduation or somewhere around that time.
Fantastic.
So nice to
Well,
see you, Joanna. What season are you from?
season 5.
Season 5. That's the best season ever, according to everyone who went through season 5,
Yes, it was
including
amazing.
Mike Delaney. And when you went through season 5, what were some of your trepidations when you got involved?
Well, I was really freaked out. Remember, it was 2021. So I was really insane. I had lost my whole community. And so I was just not myself at all. I was very shy and couldn't really speak very well. And I was confused. And I also didn't have a job. I had had an accident and I wasn't working. And I was just terrified of everything at that time.
And yet you showed up for yourself. And then what
Absolutely.
happened?
Oh, I mean, so many things have happened incredibly. I got work through here. That was amazing. Helped me transition. And then I changed careers completely. And I also still participate in the community. My whole life is totally different now as a result of going through autonomy at that time, especially at that time, because I mean, I don't know what would have happened, honestly, if I hadn't. It was Leah, actually. I called Leah and I was like, what do I do? And she said, join, join autonomy. So,
And then, so how did it all unfold? Because that's a big transition. You started out really confused, but so from my observation, you start showing up for yourself consistently. Then you started to meet some other people, and then you had some interest overlap. And before you knew it, you and Woody were hosting an art course and getting into something you were passionate about and sharing what you knew about that. And then that started to unfold what? Because that's kind of where I remember. And then I didn't, what else?
well, yeah,
What
so we
happened?
tried that out. It didn't really, we couldn't really get that off the ground, but uh I think I just decided at that point that I was going to still be an artist, but I wasn't going to try to be commercial with it. Um, although I am also teaching art also right now to children, so that's good. But I just decided to retire the need to be a professional artist in this climate that we're in
Well,
and
that's
do something else.
fantastic that you made that transition. The project with Woody that didn't work out, I don't really see that as a failure. I saw that as kind of like a stepping stone. Like you just like sometimes it's important to just start doing something. And then when you're doing that something, you're like, this isn't the thing, but that's the thing over there. And then you get to that thing, right? So it's like a transitory period of activity, if you will,
Yeah,
kind of contemplation, you might call it.
yeah, it was exactly that. We did a lot of interesting things because we had interest in natural law. So we started doing paintings together where we would talk about natural law. We did the truth show together in Pueblo, Colorado with Jeff Madine. I think you
I owe
helped
him
him
a
out.
response. I committed to doing his show this summer because it's something I already recorded. So I felt comfortable committing to it.
Oh, I don't know anything about that, but anyway, it was great. That was awesome. That was an amazing experience. And then um, I started working with others from Autonomy as in a job capacity, which was good. And Woody and I decided to phase out the course. Although I did learn about PMAs through that. That was interesting. So I got to delve into that law stuff, which is so difficult and
Yeah, for
weird.
sure. And on the topic of natural law, we just had an important milestone reached today. Leah, what's the date on Mr. Passio coming for this season to show his documentary and do Q&A with the students?
Okay, so our first guest speaker for the season is April 24th at 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to screen Mark Passio and the Science of Natural Law and then do a Q&A with Mark.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, then everyone's on the same page. We're using the same definitions, these sort of things. That's extracurricular. It's not in the curriculum, but it's a good synergistic thing to learn at that point in the course.
Right. I was also talking about the other law stuff, the
Oh,
what
no, I know,
some
but you
might
had mentioned
consider.
natural law like three
Yeah,
minutes
both of those
ago,
things.
and I didn't want to interrupt you.
Yeah, both those things. They're sort of perpendicular to one another, but I did get to learn all that stuff too, the
So
law
for
stuff.
the new students that are showing up and they've got their introversion still going on, they might be, let's, put them in your position a couple years ago. What would you say to Joanna of 2021 that would expedite her deriving value quicker?
Just don't worry about how you look. Just jump in with both feet and don't be concerned about how you look because it all works out in the end anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like there's a lot of like I don't know if she's in the room right now, but JL is she goes by is big on her internet security. And part of that is I just think that people don't want to be on camera. And I don't want to be on camera. I'm under everyone's scrutiny. There's dozens and dozens of eyes on me right now. There's 72 people in the room. Oh my God, you guys are all looking at me and analyzing me. Or so that's an aspect of like introversion mixed with a little stage fright, mixed with a little uh, absence of prioritization. For instance, the way I teach that is that's a common thing we all go through, right? So, like, who are the people that are being successful and how do they get to do that thing without being in the way of themselves, right? And the best way that I learned it over the years was I can't be nervous about me and my situation and how I look, and at the same time, deliver value and be concerned with solving the problems of my audience. So I understand that when I feel like that, my priority is like focused on me instead of my audience. And I need to prepare something. Let's find a quote. Let's get focused on like what I want the audience to walk away with, knowledge wise, experience wise, metaphor wise, these sort of things. And then once you kind of like get refocused, it's like, well, then I have to be there and I have to be on camera to deliver that value to the audience, right? So it's just like if you don't want to put your shoes on, but you need to put your shoes on to go outside, then just convince yourself to go outside, and putting your shoes on is not a big deal. So it's learning these things about ourselves and how to like, okay, you don't want to do this right now like this. how do we get ourselves to do the things we need to do when we need to do them? Because when we do that, we can demonstrate integrity. And once we demonstrate integrity consistently over time, you build trust. And this is the whole life's breadth of the marketplace. So I'm glad that you learned how to start doing that for yourself and to like get out of your own way, because we all have these proclivities that aren't really well thought out, right? Like everyone's like, I don't want to go speak in front of those people. I'm embarrassed or I'm nervous or whatever their thing is, right? Well, what's the opportunity cost of not doing that, of not learning that? And does that hold you back on a regular basis? Even if it's only 10, 20% of the time, that'd be gained if you knew how to do that thing. It's like going to the beach all the time, but you don't know how to swim. Think about the advantage, even if you had to just save somebody else, of knowing how to swim, right? So, because we live in a world that doesn't want us to learn how to support ourselves, how to swim in this metaphor that I just baked, all the metaphors are mixed live every night, kids. There's nothing, there's no leftovers being served. If you want to be able to learn how to do the thing they don't want us to learn how to do, because that gives us the locomotion, the freedom to go in our own direction, and the capacity to help other people. I mean, they're keeping us in a weak adolescent state. And that's why this course is so fun, because those who can talk themselves into it, right? I don't talk people into this course. You talk yourself into this course, to showing up for yourself. For those who do, we have extreme benefits waiting, because it's like such a cool experience to be. It's like it's once in a lifetime, but it can go on for a long time, as some of these students will show you. Stepping up. It's like outgrowing a shoe. You can't put it on anymore. That shoe of self-concern and introversion no longer fits you. You've outgrown it. So this is like expedited growth in a targeted fashion, in a way that incapacitates all the things they did to hold us back, if I could say it like that. Joanna, before you leave the stage, um, who was the most helpful student or graduate in your experience, other than the executive staff? Did you find help at some point, or guidance, or
Oh
camaraderie,
my
or
God.
inspiration?
One, Tim Flynn, Mike Nemitz,
Sure.
Willow, Leah,
Yeah.
um, um, well, and then of course at Pork Fest there was always Nathan, right? He's right here. Um, yeah, so they and Agnieszka.
Shout out to Nathan, because he hangs out in the background, but he's always helpful to everybody he interacts with. Leah, I'm trying to get you co-hosty type powers, but I'm not seeing it. So maybe Colby while we're talking. So when Leah helped you out, she was just a student back then. She wasn't executive staff or anything like that. So, the people you named are all people who still kind of hang around today. They're still working on themselves. And it's like, if you're renovating your house, you might go to the construction store, the Home Depot, the Lowe's, on an often basis. Same thing. If you're working on yourself, then come to the tool store here. We're making new tools. We have new protocols to use the tools in a more efficacious way. And there's people here all the time improving on themselves for the purposes of serving other people. So we're not doing it to dominate and like conquer the planet. Like that's weak, outdated mentalities, man. Has led to most of the main problems in the world. If we can just master ourselves, right? There's no masters or slaves in this course over each other, but we have to learn to internally master ourselves. And that mastery and excellence comes from showing up for yourself and practicing. Joanna, thank you for setting a fine example for the other graduates to live up to tonight. And again, well played in the background. That's classy.
Thanks.
Who's up
Bye-bye.
next? Who would like to share an experience with the new students?
I'll
Hey,
go.
Rich.
Yeah,
Oh, we got a tie.
I got Deborah first.
All right.
Howdy,
Hi, Rich.
Deborah.
It's great to see you again and be back for season 11. So excited.
I'd compliment your background, but I did it every other year.
Oh, I know.
I know.
Well, it's classic. It's classic and it works. So,
Deborah, what do you do
yeah.
for a living, and when did you get to autonomy?
So I got to autonomy like officially the very last lecture of season 3. And so I'm like, I can't like read the very last page of the autonomy book. So I just like hung out in the halls of autonomy and tried to see if I could find anybody from Tragedy and Hope, which I did. And so then I officially started with season 4. So
And going
uh,
into season 4, what were some of your trepidations?
okay, so a big one was like when I do anything, I like do it 1,000%. And so I'm like, I just have to like learn everything in autonomy. I have to like get all the lectures in. I've got to like do all this stuff. And so it was just a little overwhelming
Good.
to
That's the,
think
and
that I had to do that.
yeah, and now it was designed to be overwhelming to discourage people like you from doing what you were trying to do,
Well,
right?
and you did stop me because I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God, like I can't do this. So I just, chilled the F out. And then I realized I heard you say something about you don't have to just take it all in at one time. You can actually come back if you want and pick up what you can this season, or what's there for you to pick up and then, just go from there. So that was very comforting to my, whatever you want to call that about myself, my character.
Yeah, I mean, you're a business consultant. You're very professional. You deal with business meetings all the time. And for people of your acumen, you tend to try to take it all in. But I made it like a water fountain that just keeps, there's water going to keep coming out of there. You're going to need to learn to pace yourself and to drink when you're thirsty and not force
Yeah,
yourself to go to the water fountain when you're full of water, right? Go out and do something.
right. And that really is a big lesson because if you like drink all this water from the water hose, you're like really too full to even enjoy like a meal. I'm like trying to do what you're doing with the metaphors because you said something about baking a metaphor, and that was pretty dang funny.
Yeah, I mix them up
But
like Carlos mixes his drinks at Porkfest. We'll get to Carlos in a minute.
so
So,
that was really good to know that I just didn't have to come in and like, take it all in.
all right, so you
So
learned
that
to
was
pace
good.
yourself, to find your own speed, that nobody's behind and nobody's ahead because everyone's always like, I'm behind, I'm behind. No, you set your own speed. Cordner knows that. He's going to talk in a little bit. I see him in the room. So that's an important self lesson because if you're just always trying to take it all in, but you're not processing it and implementing it through your actions, like what's it all for? So it's about like figuring out who we are,
Right.
what the terrain is, what do we want to do, and now let's say no to all these other things so we can get this thing done. Right. Now, when you came in the
Right.
course, you met other people and you made friends and you shared
We
skills and helped other
did.
people out and people helped you. What were some of those things that you might recount?
Well, like some of the people, I went and found like anybody from Tragedy and Hope, and so I was able to like do some. I didn't even know we were supposed to do interviews. I'm just like, hey, remember me? I remember you. So we just like had an interview before, but then I remember Tim was like my onboarding person. He like did the first little call with me to make sure I was okay,
Yeah.
and to welcome me and then Michael Nimitz was there, and just really a whole host of people. Kara was helping me out later when I'm like, trying to do some marketing, and you suggested that I put it out to the group so they could look at it, and so Kara was just so amazing that I hired her like on the side to do some proofreading and stuff for me. So she was excellent, excellent. So.
Now, what about unexpected things that you got through? Like, so you had ideas that you wanted to get value out of the course in certain ways. What were some of the other things that can't, you're like, oh, this is high priority and it's valuable, but it wasn't on my radar before? Anything like that?
Well, my whole business coaching. So I was business coaching before I had monetized it, before I even know I was coaching and consulting. So going through the lectures, you had just really honed in on those definitions, and it dawned on me, I'm already doing that. Like I should be able to like up my skills and monetize it and do all that. So I did, and I'm very, very happy. That was like really unexpected because I do run a lot of businesses, and a couple of them I came into the course with, but like I've got 3 other businesses now that I do. So that was unexpected. I just wanted help with the first 2. So
It,
little did I know.
yeah, it's like you have other gears that you can get to when you get rid of, like, so it's a signal noise ratio. As you get rid of some of the signal, Oh, geez, I'm really using my Western Pennsylvania vernacular. Get rid of it. As you excise some of that noise from the signal, then you're able to like get more signal. You're able, it goes from like standard definition to like 8K. You're able to take in more data that's there. It's the same data that's there the whole time. Now you've raised your perspective. I do have an example. When we were on the road, I had to help my dad replace his Wi-Fi router so I could have a better podcast on Sunday night. And in the midst of that, we had to have a ladder. And at one point, my son asked if he could go up on the ladder. And when he went up on the ladder, he's like, "Wow, there's all this stuff in the house that he didn't know before because it's up high on top of the cabinets. There's plates and stuff like that." And I explained to him, nothing in this room has changed. All these things were always here. You have simply raised your perspective to be able to take that in now. And someday when you're fully grown, like you'll be about this tall and you'll be able to see these things all the time. And it's just it's a good way to translate for people that it's not reality that changes, it's how we change and how we interpret our reality and some of the maybe harsh uh generalized extreme, things that we have kind of filed away. It's like those could be more nuanced and understood and balanced and refined, and it would give us greater value. But it's like that takes planning and packing. And when you just throw everything in there, of course, it's not going to fit the most efficiently and effectively, right? But most of our intake, indoctrination, schooling, this sort of thing has just been piling a bunch of knowledge in there and not connecting it and hooking it up. I mean, how many of us have been through a bunch of classes that never pertained to anything we were ever going to do in life, but we had to take them for some qualification or specification or to graduate, these sort of things. And so if we just get back to what is the goal of a well-cultured, mature adult? They do these things. Great. How do we get those things? Well, it's a set of methods. Great. Now let's take those methods and start doing those things. And we can all be well adapted, self-reliant adults who have a capacity for compassion and charity. And we are prosperous enough because we know how to make our offers to the market that we can facilitate such things, right? The people who are really like stingy, there's two types of stingy people: really rich people, because that's how they get to be really rich, right? I don't have a good chance of being a billionaire because I like to give money away to other people doing good things in the world, right? And I buy their services and I support their endeavors and all these sort of things, right? So that's part of like how I facilitate the market. And the other stingy people are the people that are so like cost conscious that they can't get past like the price of something or it's not on sale, and it prevents them from making real progress that would like last a lifetime to get those investments, because we've all been trained to have this scarcity mentality. And the real key that this skill set gave me when I was young was you can go from the mentality of I have to scrimp and save and get the coupon and, talk to the manager and get a discount to be able to do the thing, to why would I do all that when I can just go make two more offers to the market successfully because I know how to do that and go get the thing, right? It's a whole, it's like, it's a reverse switch. It's like we've been set up in a counterintuitive way such that all of our natural inclinations after being indoctrinated are to our detriment. We want to buy the things that are spending, and it's a liability instead of investing in the assets, the thing that's going to make our future what we want it to be, right? They're just like, come buy the new latest greatest thing. Well, your new latest greatest thing still works. What should we do here, right? So learning
Right.
how to navigate these things and evaluate deals and create businesses and what floats in the marketplace all comes back to learning these things about ourselves and learning these capacities of the environment, and then be able to match up resources. Like it's a big matching game. You're going to hear Deborah and she's going to have some challenge at some point, and then you're going to be in some other meeting, a breakout room and a Q&A, and somebody's got the solution for that. And now you hear that and you're like, who is the person who was asking about the thing? Remember playing the matching game as kids, like turning over the cards? That's what the business world and people who don't just have to go and put a resume to get a job, like that's one way to get money in the marketplace. But there's all these other ways legitimately without force, fraud, coercion, or violence to do these things. And I think if we teach more people how to do that, the war economy has less grip and they have less people in fear of losing their homes if they don't go to work and make terrible weapons of mass destruction. So we need to give better options.
Right. Right.
And I think
And
that's,
I do want to mention, sorry to interrupt you,
no,
but
please do.
for all these seasons, I have totally been forgetting to mention. So if you'll remember during our call, I had some financial questions and you connected me with Lisa Manfredi.
Yep.
And so, I hadn't even joined, we hadn't even, made the deal or anything. And so you connected me with her. And so, of course, I know that you're a great guy, but I'm like, there he is again. There he goes again, generously, just helping people get their questions answered. So she was definitely somebody that was very valuable. And I went through and I watched her courses. I couldn't make all of her classes online, but thanks for the hookup for that, because that solidified my decision also.
Few people appreciate the resourcefulness of that connection, because you guys just all met her through going through enrollment. But she is someone that if you're a successful business person, you definitely want to know, and you want her to know you. So when you have some issues, she takes your call. So you guys all have that bonus coming for, when you get to that level.
Yeah. So
All right.
definitely.
So what can you offer tonight, first time attendees, as far as like, there's a point where they're going to try to talk themselves out of coming, or whatever the thing is, to quit on themselves,
You
right?
think? I don't think this group's going to do that.
You don't think?
I think no,
There's
because
always
like the
like
world's changed.
10%. There's 10% of people who can talk themselves out of good thing. I can still
You
talk myself
think?
out of good stuff. You gotta
Well,
be
I'm
vigilant
going for
against those
1%.
excuses.
I'm
All
going
right.
for 1% with autonomy season
Well, for the
11.
1% who
Okay.
might talk themselves out a couple weeks in, like, oh, this is hard. Showing up for myself is hard. Like, what do you have to say for them?
Well, I would say, what is not showing up for yourself going to look like?
Oh, that's hard too,
What's
right?
that going to look like? That's going to, yeah, that's hard. So both of them are hard. What do you want your hard to look like?
Oh, now you're going all Nikki Haley on us and saying things that can be
I don't know who she is, but
exactly.
or
Thank
he.
you. Thank you for making my point. Bump. All right. So, um, that's good insight for them, because if you get into it and you start doing the interview exercise, this is where we all learn to meet and greet. It's an essential skill. It is the skeleton key that unlocks doors all over the place for you to access information. When you came into the course, Deborah, did you have much experience with the interview skill, for instance?
I did, but what I found out was I was like doing it very incorrectly. Very incorrectly.
But
Like
you were
I
still
was
successful. So you can do a lot of
I
these things.
know, go
It's like
figure.
golf.
Which I don't play, but I understand. Yeah. So don't give up, and just know that you're going to feel that way. So it's not going to be a surprise when it happens to you. It's probably going to knock at your door. And so you'll remember what we're talking about now, and you're going to be like, I don't want to shut the door on myself. So you're just going to keep on.
That's
That's
why
what
I
I think.
opened tonight with saying your future self thanks you for showing up. No, I thank you for showing up for yourself. If you're showing up for yourself,
Yeah.
you can do, like, if you can do it tonight, you can do the whole course. Like, this is like the hardest part to it. Just getting on a Zoom
Yeah.
call. I made it that easy for people to get in.
Right. So, and community matters. So everybody's going to find that out once they get in. I mein, it's already like, they probably already know it thoroughly, but when you come in and you get to meet people that you've never talked to before, and you're like, wow, I really like that person. And it just keeps on happening over and over again. I don't think anybody's going to want to quit some of that, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. Well, it's quite enthralling and invigorating. And then you find something to do and you go out and do it. And you don't talk to those people for a couple months, and then you come back with something else and you talk to them again. So it's, everything in the course is, how do you say, voluntary. There's nothing mandatory. So you can sit and watch us do all this great progress the whole season and never unmute. Several people here tonight probably have done that. But then they went through a second time and they unmuted and they put themselves on video and they showed up and they practiced the exercises and they built skills and confidence and competence, and they got to work with people like Deborah. Deborah, thank you for stepping up tonight and making yourself known to the new season 11 students.
Well, I'm looking forward to meeting people, and thank you for being an inspiration to start this whole thing. So where would we be without that?
Thank you for being
You'd
a
be
Tragedy and Hope
lost.
subscriber. We could keep going back and forth for a while.
Okay, I'll stop. Well,
Thank you for tuning in and not
see you
dropping out.
later.
Ciao for now.
Grow towards the light direction. Okay.
That's right. Grow in
So
the light direction. That's what we're all doing here tonight. All right. So, what other graduate would like to make themselves known to the new students? Because here's the other thing: when you guys have to do an interview exercise, you might say, "I like Deborah. I want to get on her calendar first and get a first interview under your belt." This is a way it's easy peasy for you. It's not choosing from strangers. You got some people that have been through it and can answer questions too while you're doing it. But yeah, let
Let's
me give the
go.
stage. Who's up?
I'd
Who
like to
was?
follow up.
How you doing, Mr. Olson? Were
I
you
am excellent. Hello, Richie.
you're the one that tried to chime in when Deborah was chiming in
And
earlier?
it's really perfect that I follow because
All
we've
right,
gone
good.
season 5, season 4, and now season 3 where I joined in. So back in time, full circle.
All right. So, once upon a time, you're working at a coffee shop.
True.
That's when you enrolled, right? And
Yeah.
what
Right.
happened
Right.
since then? You no
Right
longer
in.
serve coffee.
No, I no longer serve coffee. I saved up my tip jar and well, did a lot of things. I mean, worked on a lot of vehicles, made a few moves, made it out to the East Coast a couple of times, Pork Fest. Met a lot of great people, and I learned invaluable skill sets. I actually took what you were presenting in this course and I applied myself, the integration exercises, the more advanced integration exercises, and they have turned into a highly profitable skill set that has paid for itself many times over now. And I'm currently greatly enjoying the fruits of all of that. It is work in a dojo, but at the end of the day, it applies directly to real life in a way that people are very grateful for the skills that are taught in this course being used to serve them in the real world.
Do you find many days that you don't need these skills?
I find I need these skills every day.
How did we ever make it so long without these skills? That's
It
that's
it boy, we could talk all night about that subject, but thankfully we have the skills and we have the know-how to find what we don't know. And much of that is in this course. And it's not just the skills, it's the people too, like Deborah was talking about. Part of the new hire enrollment benefits for where I'm currently working said, hey, we also have this service if you want called LegalZoom. And immediately I'm thinking, oh, wow, Deborah. And I know her character and I know she represented that. Sign me up.
no, she
Oh,
does.
by the way, Deborah,
Isn't it Legal Shield, Deborah?
did he just say my competition's name? Well, they're not
He
a
did. He did.
competition.
He did the Ben
That's
Shapiro
okay.
thing.
I might have
LegalZoom.
It's
been.
You've got a
okay.
supplied by LegalZoom.
I don't know
It's
which
okay.
one it
It's
was.
legal something.
Okay, if there's a way to get you a kickback, I didn't know there was two of them. Let me know because I will
Well,
go through.
there's a good one and then there's a different one.
There's a
So, but we
legit
could
one, and
talk.
then there's the Ben Shapiro one. That's what she's saying.
Dang. All
Here's
right. Well,
here's my
hopefully I didn't get
testimonial.
got.
I'll give her a testimonial real quick. As soon as we met Deborah, I'm a small business owner. We have multiple small businesses. She had some products where I was like, that pays for itself, no questions asked. And that's been 4 or 5 years that we've paid for Legal Shield. So,
And
cost
thank you for being a valued, loyal
it's
client.
it's like I'll pay my accountant first and I'll pay Legal Shield second, and those things have paid for themselves over the years because at any given point you could just pick up the phone and you talk to an attorney for free, like Legal Shield. And if I'm not talking out of line here because this is unplanned, um, the lawyers, the law firms, Legal Shield's like their biggest client for a lot of these reputable law firms because that's where they're getting their questions answered. So there's a whole piece of that market that makes it very accessible because otherwise you're paying like exorbitant prices to go get a contract drawn up or something like that. So there you have it. Necessities of doing business in the business world. That's where Deborah comes into it. And part of her, that's just a little side hustle money that she set up a while ago, right? So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah, she had me at hello on that one.
Well, so you had me at hello too. So, okay, I'm going to
See?
mute.
Knowing how to be savvy consumers makes you a better business person in the market. Most people don't know how to be a savvy consumer in the first place. What's a good deal look like? If I can get, X thousands of dollars of legal services for like $1,200 or whatever it is, I'm like, yep, please sign me up. but not everyone owns a business, and that's not a thing for everybody. But for those of you who do, you need to learn how to do such things. And LegalZoom and those types of things, not so personable. There's not real people to talk to so easily. That would be my point. All right,
I'll
Justin,
have to check
please
through which one I
continue.
went through.
Now that you
But hopefully,
tangent us
yeah.
by saying LegalZoom, thank you.
Okay. It was probably Legal Shield, and I didn't know there was two of them, so backtrack if I need to. But it's the sort of thing. It's that mindset. It's I know what this is and the value in it, and if they're offering it to me at this price, well, I don't know that I need it, but I have enough abundance mindset that yeah, it's just worth covering in case I do.
And it's the
And that
type of thing that you let go when you don't know how to like take your offer to the market. If I had a paycheck mentality and it's like I only have a lockdown number every month to pay my bills, I'm saying no to a lot of things that could save me money just because of the scarcity mentality. But when I hear, cover the cost of XYZ repairs for only this, and I'm like, oh, that's a fraction of my offer to the market, or that's 2 or 3 sales to the market of this product, then I know it's just a matter of like running my marketing campaign and that thing's paid for. Or the better part is when you're buying something that helps you make more money, like you just see it pay for itself, like what you said about getting skills and then take them to the market and making this course pay for itself many times. I calculated my $5,000 investment back in 1994. It paid off like 200x. I mean, I'm glad my past self took myself up on that offer to go to that meeting and get those skills back then. But to this day, it's like these skills are not easily available in the marketplace. So when you go into the marketplace, Justin, how do you compare to the other people trying to get the jobs?
well, I mean the sales position I'm in now, it's actually the third sales position that I've been hired in the interview. Uh, so the people who are sales managers, and I start talking story about what we know of sales exactly as it's presented in this course, they see right out the gate this is a rarefied skill set, it's a high level skill set, it's the non cringy, it's we want our people interacting with somebody like this. Yeah, we'd love to have you on board. Here's the bonuses and our structure, and you got the job if you want it. We hope you do really well at it. It's a very different mindset because I know I can go to somebody who has an offer, and for the most part, depending what that offer is, they'd be thrilled to have somebody who knows how to represent it appropriately, helping them make more transactions in the world. It's like, hey, business, I can help you make more money rather than, hey, I have a skill. Will you give me some of your money and I'll do something for you? It's a very different mindset. It's actually being in control of where you go in life rather than at the decisions or acceptance of other people.
Now, when you sold coffee for a living, you had to like get up, travel to work, do the thing for 8 hours, come back home. Same thing today, right? In the sales job.
Sure.
What's the like is what's the difference? It's like it's kind of hard work both ways. Like you have to get up and go out of the house and do some stuff. Like, so why is this what you're doing now better than selling coffee?
Nobody really breathes down my neck. As long as I make results, everybody's pretty dang happy. I choose when and how long I want to take a lunch. I can go stand outside all day. I'm mostly just interacting with people. Um, I don't take orders. I help people come up with the orders they want to make. It really is just being able to control, well, and it's the control of my income, right? When I go to make coffee, I know, okay, well, I'm getting X amount per hour by this many hours and maybe some tips on the side. But I also know, hey, if I make 30 calls today, I'm going to have an extra couple $1,000s on my paycheck at the end of the month. And that scales. If I
Yeah.
did that every single day, I could be busier than I want to be.
Yeah, you got that
So
unlimited upside capability, and it's really just like, how much do you need? What are you trying to
it
do?
is.
Right. If you
It,
don't try to do unrealistic things, there's pretty much, you do experience the thing that most people don't know about. It's like you pay all your bills and you have a little extra. What do you want to do with that? Like it starts to like, because you have a bucket that brings back more water than you can drink. It's still a trip to the river. Why would you take the small bucket? So it's like it gives you an exit to the scarcity mentality. But what I want to do for the audience, for these special season 11 students, they know you started selling coffee and now they know you have like a highfalutin sales job. In between, how's that transition go on? What did you bring to the table to start with? And what did you get through the course? So what my observation would be is you knew how to show up for yourself already. And so having that skill set, if you just get in front of the buffet, you're going to figure it out. You know how to keep coming back. You can't consume it all in one pass. But if you come back and you're like, I'm getting this and I'm getting this, and next time I'm getting this, you've continued to do that for yourself, right? So the showing up for yourself allows you to continue to get the value from the buffet. And if you're getting things that are adding up to your goals in a direction, then that's kind of like the magical transition that a lot of people are like, how do I do that thing? It's the difference between not knowing how to ride the bike and you're like, I got it. It's only a couple pedal strokes away. So how would you describe it?
Well, show up for yourself and be willing to go through the process that's laid out here. I mean, autonomy is structured in such a way that it is a method. And it starts with something that seems really easy, and it actually is. And then it adds another step, which is also easy. And then it adds another step, which is also easy. And then you actually just show that whole skill set you just developed for what it is. And now you actually have the skill. So to the new students, I would recommend, take notes of the people who are speaking now, Friday, and of the fellow students you see Sunday. And I would like to meet this person and this person and this person. And then when we get to the part where we do integration exercises, go out and meet those people and use the method, even if it's a little clunky. It's like, we don't mind. We're here to meet each other and have a good time and grow our skill sets alongside each other. And as long as you go through that process, and then once you get to the part where it's like, hey, actually, this is that skill set that everybody thinks is super cringy, it's like, but wait, you're already doing it. And when it's framed from that higher perspective, like, oh, now I see the lay of the land, the map, the terrain, and this is how business works. And now, oh, if I choose to use this in life, I'm set for life.
And you can see at that, because you've taken the extra effort, you can see at that level, there's no cringe to it. It's only the lower level of the people who don't take effort that make it so cringeworthy. And a lot of people don't deal with salespeople who know anything other than that, right? You're dealing with the real estate salesperson who never really taught or was taught sales as problem solving. You're dealing with like the appliance salesman who's like, hey, here's a, scratch and dent. Here's a special deal. It fell off the back of the truck. You're not dealing with people who are professional problem solvers and make their living doing that, because that's what the executive skill sets are. I mean, any place where it's like, let's say I'm a CEO, I want to surround myself with people who know how to solve problems with me, right? So that's this rarefied skill set that's in all these different organizations. And part of it is knowing how to set a goal, set a meeting, set an agenda, execute on those things, and repeat. And it's not rocket science, but they don't want all of us to know how to do these things. There was a student here in season one, Louis, he was working at HP, but he graduated from MIT, and he'd be in these tech meetings, kind of not speaking up for himself. And once he went through this course and he learned how to assert himself, it was a whole different perspective in the meeting now, because now he can add his view and he can stand his ground and he can push back and these sort of things that before it was just like happening to him, even with that high grade of education. So what would you grade this as far as like experiential education, Justin? You obviously dealt with people for moments at a time selling them coffee. Is there a difference between attention spans and your listening skills that you have to do what you do today that you didn't have back then?
I probably had the attention span, but I didn't have the
Probably.
method.
Yeah.
And that's really the difference there. And having the method helps the attention span because you know how to parse out different parts of the conversation that you're having. This isn't something where we're throwing mud at the wall and seeing what sticks. This is something where we have a method and we utilize it. But that said, going through the integration exercises in the pattern that it's laid out it almost becomes like a habit. These are skills I use to meet new people around a campfire. are the same skills I use to facilitate high value transactions. And it
Yes.
becomes a second nature.
It's like a can opener. It works at the, the campground, at the picnic with the baked beans, and it works with the chicken broth for the chicken pot pie. That's my best metaphor. Sorry. You don't have to buy the metaphors. They're just offered. Okay, so were you 19 when you joined the course?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Right? How old are you now?
26.
What's your device addiction like?
Well, my phone is in grayscale. I keep blue blocker glasses for when the
Bro,
sun goes down.
tell us you're a nerd without telling us you're a nerd. He's like, I got a grayscale phone. I've never even heard of such a thing. And I get why you would do that, much less like
Well,
stimulation. I got you.
exactly. I want life to be in color because that's what's valuable and how I spend my time is valuable, not what the algorithms and digital agendas want for me because I have a choice there and I'm choosing life.
How do you think you differ from other young people your age?
I wish I didn't so much, but I think I differ in the fact that I sought out a higher perspective and was willing to stay open minded to what I might find. I was willing to, go along with the propositions as far as what is public schooling. Okay, well, if that's true, then it means there was a lot of stuff I was missing out on. And I was also open to what was I missing out on, and that led to classic liberal arts and the trivium and everything else taught in autonomy. And then that led to an understanding of the world that is based in reality using a method that I can verify with other people. And that's where other people my age, they're it's not that they're not a part of reality, it's that the way that they're thinking
They're
isn't
not
always
they're not
geared.
processing it. Is that your because that
Exactly.
would be my observation. I happen to
Exactly.
have the history blueprint opened to the classical trivium. So when you mentioned it, I just thought like we can do these things on
I even
Sundays,
have a
Tuesdays as
coin. I
well.
keep a silver round that has the trivium on it. Listen to all, follow none. And I pull this out to show people when I'm talking to them in person, uh, because nobody's heard of this for the most part.
But
And
like I don't want it to sound magical or like like solve all panacea type thing. Here's the simplicity of it. When we talk about it all the time, do you wear shoes every day? Do you tie your shoes? Using the trivium to figure out a problem is like learning how to tie your shoes. It's something you should do so you can get stuff done, right? We don't have like a shoe tying like like religious group. You know what I'm saying? Like people can get all religified about these things. It's like, no, we have a three-step process to deal with unknowns and to make them known, to dispel fear, and to get knowledge, understanding, wisdom, and experience. I think that's a good thing, just like learning how to tie your shoes. And life doesn't become all about tying your shoes, but it does let you get your shoes on and go places and do things. Again, my best metaphor offered to you for your
it cleans up your
approval.
mind. Because if you're actively seeking to address contradictions, you no longer have this what double think. You no longer have
Yeah,
double.
right.
That's a hard one to live with.
Yeah, because the double think, like, first off, having a non-contradictory understanding of reality is priceless. Learning how to have a tool of philosophy to achieve that result, also priceless. Is that an easy thing to get in this world? No, it is not. There is a lot of false offerings out there to be able to get to non-truths. So there's like infinite ways to get to non-truth, and there's a finite number of ways to get to truth. And if you want to do it on a regular basis without like some super nerd PhD shut out everything else to figure this thing out, understanding, like the realistic tool for that is a three-step method that we can use in getting things done and figuring things out and finding contradictions and resolving them. All these types of things all come together. So it's it's simple. It's not easy necessarily. I'm not telling you there's no work involved. I'm saying for the results of the same work that you have to do to like stand on the corner and beg for change, like that's effort too, right? It's not what you want to do all day. For the same type of effort, you could be much more prosperous. And from time to time, when I do see people is like in that situation, it's like there are better things to do. Like you could be offering a service instead of just standing there. It's like, clean my windshield. That's what people like did back in New York. Somebody would come up and start cleaning your windshield, whether you wanted it or not. But there was an exchange of service for the money, right? For the gratuity of that. Now today, it's just people sit there and they expect you have extra money. You've figured out the game of making your offer to the market and you can support that. Maybe you can. But and oftentimes it's like these people don't need to be in those situations. And society's created to make sure that people feel helpless and demoralized and destitute and disconnected. And so, yeah, that's part of the growing issue. And this is also part of solving that issue. Put back the thing that was taken out to create the problem in the first place. Thank you, Justin. How about one last word or insight of wisdom for season 11? As far as at some point, they're going to meet challenges, unexpected things during this course, and they're going to have to talk themselves forward. What's your advice?
There's a reason you joined. You know, there's a reason that the marketing for this course appealed to you in the first place, and you were willing to go through the process of getting into it. And really, that's the difficult part. Now that you have access, you're going to find value. A hard thing can be, if you're really serious about it, is you find out a lot of information and it's almost overwhelming. But don't let that be daunting. Just take in as much as you need to and know that you can always come back to it. And, you know, my past, you know, in my present, I thank my past self for putting this value into applying myself towards this course and what it has to offer. And in your future, you'll be thanking yourself too for sticking with it, because it's real, and what it has is it's not easy to find elsewhere. I don't know anywhere else that this information can be found actually without extensive amounts of research in a bunch of different areas. And even though I was aware of these things, I knew somebody who made me aware of these things. So this is a good hub. You have access over time. Make use of it, and you'll thank yourself for it.
Go forward and do likewise. That's the gist. All right. Follow Justin's example and be sure to hit him up if you guys would like an interview when you guys get to the interview integration exercise in the early weeks of this course. But for right now, I saw Dave Crossland had his hand up. We're going to go to a quick walkthrough. We have the team here to show you some of the resources, right? We have a fountain of resources. In what order should we learn about these things? I figured we should learn about the intellectual warehouse that we call Kajabi, because that's their company's name. It is the things for all things course infrastructure. It's where you're going to find your lectures, your integration exercises, all the documents and accoutrements that go with that stuff, the prerequisites. They're all in either through web access, or we're also going to see mobile access, because the mobile app allows you to keep your place and some of the long form content. It is very convenient. And then at the second break later, we will go through the autonomy forum and community and its amenities and resources. And hopefully you don't get too overwhelmed with these two little additions of walkthrough and learning about the infrastructure so that you can get maximum value in your first time through this course. How do you think that sounds, Leah? Was that good?
Yeah, sounds great. Let's do it.
All right, I'm going to refresh my T. I'm going to go mobile so I can hear thee.
Cool. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. And the first thing I want to show you, actually, right before I go to the Kajabi course, is that I want to make sure that everybody is able to use their Zoom and know where all their tools are. Okay, so this is it's a diagram of the tools on Zoom. And if you look in the bottom left corner, if you haven't seen this yet, this is where you unmute. This is where you do your video. Okay, and these little arrows, they're called carrots. And when you open those up, you're able to see all of your settings. So let's say that you can't figure out where, why you can't hear somebody, right? Or why they can't hear you. You know, you're going to want to go to this little carrot next to unmute and pop that open. And then you'll be able to see a menu. And tell me, let me see. I don't know if you can see this. Sometimes you can't see the controls on Zoom. Can you see my controls?
No.
Okay, yeah, so they make it invisible so other people can't see it. But there's just a little, it's a little dialogue box, and you can go through and you can fiddle around with where your sound is coming from. So you have to check your input and your output, make sure that you have the right microphone or the right speaker selected. So that'll sort you out when you go on Zoom calls with people. If you want to invite somebody, you're in a meeting and they need the link, then you have the little invite and you can click that and the links will pop up and you can just click the link, copy it, and then paste that to whoever may need that in a direct message, or you can send it in an email, however you like to do that. Here's where you can see how many participants are in the room. And this is the share screen. So just like I'm doing now, you're able to share your screen with people when you use this button down here in the bottom. Okay, and then we have a chat. You can open up the chat feature, and you probably see the chat today. It's on the right-hand side, going down the right-hand side of the screen. Alrighty, and then there's a record button. So a lot of the meetings are recorded here at Autonomy. We do use a lot of the clips for marketing, but we generally will always make sure that we show people and let them know that we're going to use something and make sure they're good with it before we do it. So you can just feel comfortable with everything you're doing here, because we're not just going to blast you out there. Okay, so that's really just quickly, I wanted to show you the Zoom interface because I remember last year a few people, they needed to see this. Okay, and some of you may be very adept at this. Okay, so in Kajabi, the first thing I want to show you is season 11. Now, previous students, you've all been granted the new product, and new students, this is where you're going to be able to start. Now, a lot of people have already been able to get into the Autonomy Forum. And so there's a post right here. So it goes, welcome, and then join the forum. So if you haven't joined the forum yet, or you're watching this on replay and you need to go into the Autonomy Forum, this is where you go in and you're going to the Autonomy Forum. Now, in order to even get to season 11, the first thing you have to do is sign into the University of Reason Kajabi, right? And when you made your account, you created a password and you used a specific email. That's the same email that you're going to use anytime you sign into the University of Reason, and it's the same email you're going to use when you create your Circle Forum account. Okay, so just write that down somewhere, have it handy. But when you sign into University of Reason, you're going to have a lot of different products in there, because when you join Autonomy, we give you so many amazing products just to even start out with. So you're going to have to scroll down and look through that to find Autonomy Season 11. And when you go into Autonomy Season 11, this is what you're going to see, right? All right, so then you're going to be able to join the forum, okay? And then when you join the forum, you'll be able to get over to the circle. And I'll go through the circle in just a little bit, but that's where it is. And then we'll go through, in the next break, we'll go through the circle. But for now, we're going to just work in here for a minute. Okay, so that's really important, because in the circle forum is basically where everybody's connected, where all the events are, etc. So you want to get in there. Okay, and then I'll show you what it's going to look like as you go through the season by showing you last season. In this season, we do have a lot of things you can already look at. If you haven't seen this daily commitments of an autonomous person, it's really good. It's really great to start getting your personal code up to par. And you're going to find that a lot of people here do operate with this culture of excellence. So, these are all here because they're very important and valuable things. And then the personality type. So you can look at your personality type. We have the gemstones also. If you haven't figured out what your gemstone is, let's see, that is over here somewhere too. Here we go. Personality styles. Okay. So this is going to come up a lot in autonomy. We all always refer to the different personality types and the gemstones. For example, I've always been a pearl. Like I just am always there trying to help people, giving everything away, my time, my energy, my efforts. And I had to learn that I can't just only be a pearl and always give things away. I have to incorporate some of these other gemstones into, who I am and how I operate so that I could have like a well-rounded interaction with the world around me. Like I had to activate a little bit of Ruby in me sometimes, be a little bit, more assertive, or maybe get a little more interactive and enthusiastic in a little sapphire, right? Or just maybe like, integrate the consciousness and the supportiveness together, right? So that I had all of them, or at least a little bit of all of them, and not just completely pearl out on everything all the time, because I can't operate like that. It's not advantageous to me to only just give everything away, right? And so you'll find out what you are. You can look at these, and that's really, really good. We all love this. So you can check that out. And there's quite a few things for you in here. So definitely, there's these stoic principles that Richard will be talking about. These 2 videos are really great. He added those. You're going to be able to just, take your time and walk through these modules that are already opened so that you can get up to speed and be ready for everything that's going to be coming after that. In the supplemental area, we have the Underground History of American Education by John Taylor Gatto. And then, the Michael Badnarik, How to Form a Civil Society, getting things done, right? It's all about optimization, getting things done. And then the Anti-Fragile Summary. So this is just the tip of the iceberg with the amount of resources and material we give you. And this is what it's going to look like when we get through an entire season. So every week, the modules will unlock. Your pre-course module will unlock. You'll be able, and I'll go all the way down because it goes from the bottom to the top. So we'll go down, as you can see, how many things unlock as we go through the season. All right, so your quiz will unlock. So jump in that quiz on Thursday. You'll get an email. Jump in there, do that little quiz, right? And then, as we go through Friday nights, the lecture at 9 p.m. Eastern with the Q&A afterwards, that will be posted on Saturday. It should be posted by 1 p.m. Eastern. So anybody who's in another time zone, Europe, can watch that before we get to the Q&A on Sunday. And then they're broken up into different modules. So you can watch the lecture, then you can watch the integration exercises, the housekeeping, and then the Q&A, so you're not scrolling through one very long video constantly. These are all uploaded on a weekly basis as we go through the season. Okay, so you can check that out. And then, by the time we make it through to, the 12 live weeks, and then there's several recorded weeks, you're going to be able to see quite a bit of things open up in here. So it's a little different look than the one that we just saw, where we've only got a few things opened up. So that'll be just rolled out for you, module by module. So follow along the season in the Kajabi modules, okay? Because that's where we're going to be delivering everything, all of the information. That's where all your replays are going to be. And you'll be able to keep up with everything. Some people are in, let's see, some people are going to be in the Autonomy Pro Media. All right, you also have a product. So you're going to search through the same thing, University of Reason, search through and find the Pro Media product. It's got the meeting link. It's got all the meeting times. And then we also will be bringing you into some more resource tools, for example, like Trello. We have a great Trello for Pro Media where we work on all kinds of different things. We learn project management. We learn how to create a course in Kajabi. And it's really incredible. I can show you, this is last season. These are the courses that the students created in this course, right? It's incredible, right? So a lot of these students are going to come back in. We've got a few finishing touches, and these courses can go on the Autonomy Agora marketplace, and they can go out to the public. So it's a truly incredible new course that people can take. And also, too, we have autonomy vlogging. Now, last season, we did this course with just people who were kind of designated to be in it. This season, I'm going to open up autonomy vlogging to the entire student body because it is so enriching to be able to have that self-reflection. You take that snapshot of yourself and you follow through. There's a course here, and every week questions open up, and you're going to start just following through it, and you're going to start to see yourself unfold and grow. And it's the same thing if you post your material. You don't have to post it for marketing material. We're not going to use it without ever asking you. We would like to, but we're always going to ask. And you can just do it for your own personal journey and your own personal enrichment. But it's a really great way to accelerate your self introspection and your self reflection. And you can see a complete difference in people in the vlogs they start out with and the vlogs they finish with. And then when you see them in, interviews and things like that in subsequent seasons, it's just the most incredible thing. Like you're looking at two different people. So having that captured throughout your autonomy journey, it's almost like having a diary, right? And it's just a video diary. And even if you never show it to anybody. So I'm going to invite everybody to be able to come into this class, and I'm going to teach you how to do this. And it's going to be 7 o'clock on Thursday nights, Eastern New York time. All right. And then we have like a little bit of technical recommendations, and we're going to learn some stuff in here. All right. So this is everybody can come. Anybody who wants to come can be in this. All right. So I think we've covered what we needed to cover in this
You
little.
want to cover Do It Live real quick so they know about that?
Oh, do it live. Yeah. So I can do that through going through this. I'll go back over to here. So when we do get over to the events, you'll be able to see there's it's called Do It Live on Saturdays. It happens at 3 o'clock on Saturdays. And it's fantastic. It's a podcast that you get to host, right? It's built in. We've built in everything you need. You just need to walk in onto the set with a micro. You have your microphone and your camera, and you get to host this podcast. Okay, so you get to really challenge yourself and put yourself out there and have this exponential growth by getting this under your belt and having done a Do It Live. And you can do it in a couple of formats. You can do it where you're going over the events of the week. You can use our material to cover, and you could have a Do It Live podcast about anything you want. You can bring in your own content. You're gonna have guides who are there with you the entire time, walking you through it, setting up with you, being live with you.
I thought you were going to say you're going to have failures because Do It Live is all about getting your failures under your belt, right? Like, watch this. Hey, Ashley, do you remember the first time you hosted Do It Live?
Yes.
Can you tell the audience just real quick, because this is impromptu and this is just putting you on the spot on purpose, what type of trials and tribulations that you encountered, even though you were well prepared and you changed locations and all this stuff to get a good signal? Like, you had done substantial prep, and then still Murphy's Law jumped you, right?
Yes. Yeah, so I had signed up to Do It Live, and I was actually because I had already spoken with Mike Nemitz and had made contact there, and he was kind of involved. So I was like, perfect. I'm going to show up. Mike Nemitz is going to be here. Carlos is going to be here. I'm ready to rock and roll. I watched, the tutorials about sharing clips. I think I got this. So then a hurricane strikes Acapulco. Mike is totally out of commission. He's nowhere to be seen. Then my Wi-Fi at home went out, and we had never had any Wi-Fi issues or our internet issues at all the whole time I've been living here, but a line got cut or something, totally went out. And so my husband helped me pack up, my laptop and my lighting and all my gear, and I went to work where I had to set up my so I could get going and be ready for Do It Live. And I check in with Carlos, and we're like checking things to make sure everything works, and then I could not get my clips to play, which is the part that I was the most nervous about. And if anybody's been on autonomy quests with me, they know I still have issues with that sometimes. But yeah, so it was all the things, and I survived it.
Right? Like all those things happened and you still were, because you didn't quit. You just kept showing up for it. And like Do It Live, everybody who's ever hosted has something happen that they didn't calculate, some button they forgot to push. And then it's all about the guides coming out and saying, "Hey, here's how you do it." And like nothing, like no one's throwing tomatoes at you. You're not getting
Right.
shepherd hooked off the stage. This is just how we get to like those chops. This is the training wheels and the incubator kind of situation. So, all right, thank you for being on the spot. Leah, did you have anything more to cover?
Um, well, no, that's it. That's it. And
All
thank
right.
you. I was gonna bring Ashley in, but I was just on a roll. And we, when we go through the forum, we can.
Bring her in when we do the
Thank you.
forum in the next
Thank you.
walkthrough, because we do have one other walkthrough, because I wanted to make sure that you guys knew in the meet and greet and anyone watching this replay how to get access to the main resources, at least enough that you can ask for help, right? If you have questions about the course curriculum, you're going to ask in the forum, in the chat box, and then people are going to come out of the woodwork and give you answers. But if you can't get that far, then it's like you have to email Leah, and then that takes longer. So if we can get you like the right shoe and the left shoe, we figure you can learn how to walk pretty easy. All right. So before the break, Dave Crossland had his hand up. He's a graduate. Did you want to say something, Dave?
He had to step away.
Oh,
It's in
okay.
the chat.
Hey, I made it, everyone.
You made it back?
Yeah, just tidying up dinner. Maybe kids' bath time soon, so I might have to run in a sec. But yeah, I just wanted to add to the testimonial section here. Season 9 is when I joined, and I've had a great time being a member of the autonomy community.
And when did you decide? Like there was a process where you heard about the opportunity, and there's a process of like making the decision. And when did you know that it was something that you wanted to engage in? And then my follow-up question, because you can handle a follow-up question, is what has helped you to continue engagement after you graduated?
So I think that I came into this not through so much the tragedy and hope community, but through following the John Taylor Gatto kind of thread. And I've got 2 young kids here. As I say, I got to put them in the bath in a minute, and so kind of school and education was back in my mind, and so I went through that ultimate history lesson, and then looked deeper into what you were up to, and became aware of autonomy from that. And then I think, for myself, I'm still working, kind of corporate big tech job. There's been a lot of layoffs the last couple of years. And in some ways I see, autonomy as kind of a unemployment insurance. So I'm ready to go. I've got a very clear plan for what I would do if I was laid off.
Yeah, and part of that, like that plan B, if you will, would be knowing how else to package up your value to the marketplace, right? We find a job opportunity, we're doing this thing, but if that job opportunity goes away, how do we reframe what we're doing in the marketplace? How do we refer to what we've done, and how do we pitch what we can do, right? And I think that's an important part that not a lot of people consider. and you're savvy and you see the trends in the marketplace and you don't want to be caught because you're a responsible father. So you're trying to prepare for the future, which is an arduous task because a lot of times we're not working with the best information set. And so getting in touch with what is the specific value of what I do, and do I need to add something to it to make it more palatable or attractive to the marketplace is also part of it. Now, you've also got a couple colleagues that you came into the course with. What's the value of coming in with some other people that you can speak the same lingo with?
Yeah, that's definitely a big value. The sort of mastermind group aspect, during the course was, very, very valuable. As you said, I joined up with a few kind of friends and colleagues, and so yeah, having this kind of structure through the course to discuss, what we're learning in the course, how we're applying it was very helpful. In the same way, the integration exercises, that kind of dojo practice, makes it kind of real, and embeds the learning. Then being able to, reflect and follow the mastermind structure was really impactful. And that also is, in a way, the answer to your second question, about how to stay engaged, or why I have stayed engaged with the community after the course, is that community aspect. Yeah.
And since you're in the VIP section this season, our meetings start, I think, Tuesday night in like a week or so. So we got that on the calendar too. Regular meetings, and being able to formulate maybe this plan B strategy and bring that together. I've got some good ideas percolating on that already. All right, so that's exciting for me and you, but to do something for the audience here, pro tips. You're already moving with a lot of momentum, so you might not relate to their like trying to get started and get off square one, but as best you can for people coming in, what would you say that they could do to make their first season easier?
I would say, Leah was just mentioning the recordings getting posted up on Saturdays. Yeah. And, there's a lot of material, the lectures, go into a lot of depth. And, for me, Friday evening is not the easiest time. And so being able to, review the lectures, put it onto 1.5 speed, take all the information in, but, get it done more efficiently was very helpful for me.
I'm glad you mentioned that because, to be candid, I used to be offended that people would play me at a 1.5 speed, or Sid plays me at 3x, right? And then so I was offended at first. I was like, "What are you doing? You're missing out on all the space between the notes. That's the music, bro." But then I tried it, and I was like, "Oh, I can get a lot of my time back during the week by pressing 1.25 or 1.5. I can comfortably listen and consume audio." And yes, please. Because now if you take your same 10 hours of study during the week and you do 1.25, that's like 14, 15 hours of study during the week. And whatever we can do to expedite ourselves through the process each time adds to the efficiency of the whole endeavor. It makes it more pleasing. All right. And what was the most challenging thing that you encountered going through the course?
I think that the the integration exercises, it can get real busy, trying to book up time with people.
Yeah.
And it was super valuable. And during the kind of off season, after the course is officially over, because it's like a lifetime membership type of community, then being able to kind of catch up and continue to go through the kind of application of the course, was helpful, where I had struggled to keep up during the course.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dave. And since you set this trend of raising your hand, now everyone's got their hand raised. All right, so I'm going to Nathan first, and then I'm going to Daphne second.
Appreciate
Nathan,
it.
yeah,
Thanks
thank
a
you,
lot.
Dave.
Yes,
Nathan,
Richard.
it's been too long since we've seen each other, bro.
Again, yes, it has been a wonderful. Yeah, there's a lot's been going on, I'll tell you that.
Well,
There's been a move in my life. I've moved locations. I'm now in Pennsylvania. I've changed careers, and utilizing, I think, recognizing now and being here and listening to all these other like-minded people that these skills have come in handy. They've really elevated my the way I speak, the way I hold myself, and again, where I put my energy.
What season did you get autonomized?
Autonomy season, technically I joined in season 4, but I got kind of laid back. I knew it was like really late in the season, so I completed season 5. It was 2021. Really was excited to join. Leah was the one that really enrolled me into course
Yeah,
and
because
got
you knew
me.
her. You guys know each other. And she
We
knows,
really know
apparently
each
you
other.
have a
We've
brother named Jason too. She knows him too.
Yes, and he's into what I do here at Autonomy as well. Trying really wanting to possibly get him enrolled into Autonomy as well.
Yeah, his name got floated as a capable person since you weren't available that we should like hire for something
Yeah,
6 months
this is
ago.
something that my brother, he's a very tech savvy guy, flow state, entrepreneur, definitely wants to do the whole anti-fragile, getting things done kind of guy.
Well, you should do him a solid at some point when he's ready. All right. So now
Yeah.
my recollection was when you came into the course, I asked you, what do you do for a living? And instead of telling me the name of your
Ah,
job, you described how electricity gets into New York City. And then
yes.
during that process of the underground transfer of electricity, you're like, I help to provide the cooling systems and maintain those so that it doesn't like overheat.
Exactly.
All right. So what did you change into?
So this is interesting. So the way in which I changed into instead of cooling down the wiring, I'm now cooling down people inside of buildings. So instead of building infrastructure for industrial, power stations, I'm now building infrastructure for, say, your local Walmart, or if it's a computer station that like a data center, they have
Yeah.
data centers that need cooling.
Yes.
They'll also cool down that. So it's HVAC manufacturing by a company called Johnson Controls.
Oh yeah, I
I
know them.
worked, yeah, Johnson Controls is a global international air conditioning company, but I work in York, which is actually York Air Conditioning Company. So they own York Air Conditioning Company and started there. I am actually one of the lead wirers in the assembly line process.
All right, now
Now, this is an interesting transition. I'll be going into something that we've talked about before. I'll be changing careers entirely, which I can talk more about.
oh, you're gonna change careers entirely? Because I got a nephew that wants to go into HVAC. I want him to come like look
Mhm.
over your shoulder for a day.
That is also possible. This is a very hands-on job. Johnson Controls is always hiring. They're expanding as we speak.
And people
Expanding
like
the
their heating and cooling.
Absolutely. Heating and cooling is necessary for the life we live in this day, especially when it comes to internet. If you use the internet, you have a data center near you, and that data center needs air conditioning because it gets really hot in there.
Yeah. All right. So what are you transitioning into? What's the career change?
So I mentioned to you a long time ago, one of these, getting, meet and greets, or as well, Ask Richard Anything on Sundays, if everybody knows what those are. Uh, I've been doing these things called lean manufacturing or Kaizen in a way. And what they
Kaizen is a Japanese term which means to do it with a culture of excellence.
Exactly. And then there's another one called Kanban, which means a visual card. So it's almost kind of like the Trello boards. So very
Oh,
much
is
into
that
those.
like this agile software development? Isn't that a Kanban right there?
There you go. Yeah, there you
Oh.
go. Kanban is Japanese for card and visual, yeah, visual card. So what ended up happening was when I got there, the first, probably about a year ago today, actually, it's been a year since I moved. I actually instead of just being a wirer, right? They actually are now wanting us to think. So there was actually a very passionate man who learned about the Kaizen or Kanban system, brought it into the manufacturing floor, and had everybody really envelop themselves into a system. They call it the constant improvement system, and it's essentially finding little improvements and improve it over time.
Sure.
I've been engaged, I've been showing up and I've been giving ideas, and it allowed me to be recognized for that type of interaction. The lead, which we call our L3 star point, uh, his name is James. He recognized me in all that I've done. pointed to me and said, "Hey, I'd like to pick you out. I'm going to put a bid, which is like how we could actually change jobs if we don't like where we are in the manufacturing floor. We can change where we want to be." He gave me a new position to be the visual card manager or the Kanban manager, lead position for first shift. I actually have a different, completely different shift. This would be, more pay. This would be interacting less on the floor, doing, physical labor stuff, but more like the executive decision making. So he has a sort of system he needs people to really execute problems that he's developed. And he's, looked at me and how I've, interacted. And he feels that I'm capable of using, critical thinking, in this case, the skills that I've learned here at Autonomy, trivia method, and as well, the interview process allowed me to express and explain those skills that I've developed. And so from there, out of all the different people that were interviewed, because it was a bid competition bid, people, many, first shift, second shift, all, everyone throughout the company could bid for this job. He picked me, which is a very interesting, show of how excellent, things have been for me. I figure the steps in which I've gained through here have really contributed to that.
Well, that's part of you. Like you already knew how to show up for yourself, which is why you kind of expedited your way through, right? And you were already somebody who was conscious and observant and helpful, right? Like that was my first interaction meeting you.
Yeah. Yes.
For the students who don't know this story, we were going to the Porcupine Freedom Festival in New Hampshire. I had outdid myself and I had a big truck and trailer and I was trying to navigate into a campground that was already very well packed. And there's Nathan like Gandalf and he's got his walking stick and he points directly to the space where I need to go and he helps me steer the trailer in there. And I was like, who are you? And that's how we met. And so
Awesome. Yes.
you already had these characteristics, but you weren't knowledgeable into like how to apply them in a workplace because
Right.
the workplace doesn't always like open itself up and say, hey, you have these things. But now that you have this iterative improvement environment and you
Yes.
knew how to contribute in a strategic way that got you noticed by someone with responsibility. And the people with responsibility, guess what, everybody? They want conscious, responsible, compassionate people to work with to help them shoulder those massive responsibilities of these multinational billion-dollar companies, right? And if you're
Yeah.
working in there, like you can say, oh, globalist company and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, Johnson Controls, like it's heating and air conditioning. You're not making daisy cutters that are being dropped on kids in Afghanistan or something, right? So all things considered, it's a solid place with good benefits and gives you really good mobility should you want to do something else down the road.
Yes.
This added responsibility and growth really reflects like a trend. And then when if you have to hop jobs, then you can start off up here and not down here again. So
Yeah.
what in your frame of reference, connected you going through the course and doing the exercises and meeting people and gaining self-confidence beyond what you already have, which was substantial, but not narcissistic. What was like the thing that helped you translate it into your workplace?
I figure in this case, what really helped the transition was a lot of the enrolling. So like the ideas that I originally had was like a specific perspective. So I really liked what a couple of things that you said well in the last hour. The real thing for me was the perspective. Like your child had to like get up on a stage, like on a stool to actually see a different perspective. I have my own perspective. I see things kind of, with rose-colored glasses sometimes. I say, sometimes people also have the different intentions. So for me, I really is that level of enrolling. That was something that had me that really was also like a weakness for me. But when I really got that into putting it into the workplace and allowing people to see, it was like a no-brainer. A lot of the things that I was suggesting was just like, yeah, like let's already do this. Like this is a great suggestion. Like I never thought of it like that. Or I said something out of like being completely frank, and someone was like, I was just thinking of that. Like that was something that was already on someone else's mind.
In the past, would you have been hesitant to share your observations so readily and confidently?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Because of the threat of just, people, interviewing wasn't my strong suit. Especially even if it was in this safe environment, I still was very like not sure what to say if I was gonna get it wrong. It felt like I was pressured. It was all really me. pressuring myself, and I'm very self-critical of that still. But at the same time, I'm being more gentle, and I feel like that really helped with learning through this,
Do you
through the
feel more
interview process.
comfortable allowing yourself to get it wrong because you have a stronger sense of self-correction and improvement?
Yes, it's slow, but yes, like I mentioned, I was season 5 and it's season 11, so it's still through the seasons when I was still working at the previous job, they weren't really allowing for these types of improvements. Nobody really wanted to move around and really get that. The moment I got to this new job, it was like, these are my people. These are my people. And then the same thing, the people that want to surround themselves with problem solvers saw me, and I want to surround myself with problem solvers as well. So that was just like a magnet right there. It's only been a year. It took 1 year. So it's not like it took 10 years. So it's like it took a year.
So it took a little time in the cocoon and then you sprouted out as a butterfly. I got you.
Yeah, especially in springtime.
All right, last part, and then I'm going to go to Cordner because he has to get up at 4 a.m. So I'm going to let him jump in line.
All
Pro
right.
tip for season 11 students going through for their first time: what obstacles and things might leap out at them, and how can they handle it better?
Yeah, I figure it's definitely a scheduling thing. Definitely, if this is something that you really want to do, the taking the time out of your day is invaluable. The information here, I'll uh, play again what Justin said, is that this is something that will last a long time. Like it's here. Take it as it is. Enjoy yourself. And for that, like I'm grateful to be welcomed every time I show up here. Like it's just an outright great community. And might not the style and being around people is also new, especially being this was originally for like being on Zoom and stuff is all new. There's a lot of now newer technology, newer steps, newer systems in place to really get this process and the information uh, into our minds, into our consciousness. So really fall forward on those new techniques and those new systems.
And it's easier than ever for season 11. It's not hard like it
Yes.
was in seasons 5 and 6 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1 when we were still figuring out processes. And now we actually have some standard operating procedures and all these sort of things that don't have to be made up ad hoc on the fly as they happen. All right. Thank you so much, Nathan, for gracing us with our presence.
Yes.
And we likewise, we feel gratitude when you show up. So that's nice to be around people like that. And I'd like to
Yes.
thank you for making time on your Friday night.
Absolutely. Much love.
All right. So James Cordner is a hardworking man. He's got to get up at 4 a.m. and he asked if he could go next. Are you still here, James?
Yes.
All right. All right. All right. So not everyone who comes into this course was met at the Porcupine Freedom Festival in New Hampshire. However, I did meet James at the Porcupine Freedom Festival in New Hampshire, and he ended up over here in this course somehow. How'd that happen?
Oh man, a little bit of a long story, but it all kind of started back in 2019, and I was told to go look for Freeman Fly's podcast. And I stumbled upon Pete Quinonez's podcast at the time called Free Man Beyond the Wall. I
Oh
figured
yeah,
if I typed
Freeman.
in
Yeah,
Free
there you go.
Man to my podcast, search engine, that would come up. So I go, all right, well, maybe this is the one. I had no clue. So I go and what's the most recent episode posted? And it was Rich. And he was talking with Pete about the Rothschilds. And I was like, okay, I know, I think I know a few things about this topic. Let me hear what they're talking about. And I liked Rich's approach to teaching it, the way that he communicated the information. And then I got to the end, and then they mentioned something about autonomy. And I was like, what is that? So I started paying attention a little bit more to Rich's work from there and kept hearing about this autonomy, this culture of excellence, this community building, this all these wonderful things that every time I heard about it, perked my ears up, and I'm like, this is for me. This is definitely for me. But I was still like really unsure. uh, not about the course, but about myself
Sure.
in some aspects.
Yeah,
So
it's like we hear about cool things, but it's like, oh, is that for me? Or is that a scam? Is that a ripoff? That works for them, but could it work for me? All these
yeah,
questions come around. And unless we get those questions answered, we stay in like this limbo where we're not doing anything about it. And unless it's a priority, it kind of just sits there. So how did it end up becoming a priority going from like something you heard about to something you're like, oh, I want to try that on and see if it fits?
and they're very young. The world fell apart right in front of us, and
Here's what we're going to do, James. The internet's choking. So turn off your video and just go audio and start over, if you would be so kind. That'll make it through to him now. I'm waiting for the data goes through the pipes. The internet's a series of tubes, I heard. Did he have to drop? Did he lose his connection?
I'm back.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, you're on audio,
Yeah.
self-fixing problem. You sound loud and clear. Go ahead and
All
start
right.
again.
So I was saying that we have my wife and I have 2 children, young family. Um, you know, 2020 rolls around, world falls apart, and of course we're feeling that dread, that fear, all that craziness. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Kids aren't in school yet, so that's a good thing. And we decided to go take the homeschool route, and I hear ultimate history lesson. Uh, I hear all these different things, and you know, it became apparent to me that there was like a chink in the armor. There was a weakness there, and it had to do with my employment. There came a time when the vaccines were rolled out that there was this looming, just this the threat of forced vaccination.
Yeah, your job can be taken away at any day if you
Yeah.
want to maintain your non-experimental nature of your biome.
And being a voluntarist myself, and for a very long time, I've just been always on edge when it comes to people telling me that I have no choice. And that to me is like instant red flag when somebody says you're going to have to do this, and I give them the middle finger, and then they're like, well, we're going to ruin your life if you don't do this. And I'm like, well, go ahead and try it. And it's a very real thing. But then when you throw children in the mix, it's like, ooh, becomes even more complicated. So
Yeah.
I decided to really just kind of like involve myself with more speaking out instead of just keeping things to myself. That leads to me having a podcast. That leads to me being invited to the One Great Work Network uh, that Mark Passio runs. That leads to meeting even more bright individuals. And then that leads to me being like, wait a minute, I live in New York. Porkfest is right down the road. Rich is going to be there. The Autonomy guys are going to be there. Larkin Rose is going to be there. Mark Passio is going to be there. Like all like last year, 2023. And I'm just
What's
like,
going on?
I have this tremendous opportunity to
Hello?
like meet all these great people and to really kind of just see what this autonomy thing is about and with my own eyes. And turns out it was like exactly everything that I thought it would be. And I'm seeing everybody like moving and shaking, getting things done, having fun while doing it. I meet Phoenix and Stefano, and then I find out that these are the guys that are filming the pavilion, all the speakers at the pavilion, and they just went off and did it on their own. They got the deal on their own, all this great stuff,
I
So
was surprised at that too, because
it,
I would have thought maybe if they were not confident, then they asked the teacher, "Hey, do you have some hookup? Can you tell me who to call and what to say to get this
yeah.
thing?" They just went and did it. So that means what I taught was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yeah, so
effective in the marketplace. Their offer got accepted. So yeah, and then the other part of that was that one great work network that was built. There were not entirely, but there was a bunch of autonomy graduates that helped to make that back in the day. So all this stuff, it's like a circular economy for freedom, right? We need to vote with our dollars. Then let's start figuring out how to make better offers to the marketplace and how to be more confident in our actions and be more knowledgeable and be able to explain the nature of our reasoning instead of saying, do it or I'll use force against you. Because anyone who has to use force or violence against you, that's their admission of intellectual bankruptcy. That should tells everybody what they need to know in that situation. The other person can't prove their side, so they're going to use violence. So you don't want to be on that side. You got to do some mental improvement and learn your way out of those because they want everyone to get frustration, aggression. That's the whole system set up for that. If you get frustrated, you get a pill. If you get aggressive, they get a cage. If you don't want either of those two solutions, you got to move over here to the calm, cool, collected, anti-fragile. Let's learn how to parse things with methods and have high degrees of certainty with our actions. But go ahead, James, continue.
Oh, so you know how it goes. You listen to a well-informed person sharing their knowledge for so many years, and you're like, is that really how that person is in real life, or are they just really well read? And that was something that I was back by, with and so I did. And you
You
have a
cut
good
out for 10
handshake, which
seconds.
is something that I find I don't know, it's valuable to me to like see the character in person, and you were really like not just pointing and telling people what to do at Pork Fest. Like you were there in the trenches, like getting it done. It's not no small operation what you do there. Um, so I was like, all right, he's a leader. He's not just a boss. This guy's a leader. He's gonna teach you how to lead as well. He's gonna get you because I saw that with the guys filming everything. Like these guys took it upon themselves. They're leading the charge on that end. He had nothing to do with that. And if I can put you on the spot, Rich, um, when I saw you filming, shoot, why is his name escaping me at the moment? But
Jordan Page?
Jordan Page, thank you. When I saw you filming Jordan Page playing Free Ross, and I was like, yeah, he's a human being.
Oh, you saw me
I
cry, dude. That's
Yep.
what James does. He wanted to say it politely between men. Yeah, I cried. I started getting teary-eyed while I filmed it, but I busted out when I hugged his mom, and I'm like, this is so I'm getting teary-eyed now, dude. You're doing it to me live. What are you doing?
But
It's an injustice. It's a travesty, and
yeah.
I'm embarrassed to live in a country that has political prisoners, and so few people know what to do about it. Yeah.
So that's what got me to really just be like, I need to figure out how I can enroll. And then after enrollment, I figured out how to enroll. Leah helped me through that. And thank you, Leah. I know you're there. And so after enrollment, I was just like, wow, this is amazing. And the community in the circle, the forum, everybody has always been so kind and helpful. And the culture of excellence is really there. And, there's people like, you know, Mike and Agnieszka, Carlos, Phoenix, tons of other graduates that are really just like so just ready to help you out and make your time well spent. Um, I the triggering of the complexity, as you'd like to call it, Rich, like is
That's
it's
the
always been
growth zone,
yeah.
man.
Oh no, but my internet's a little choppy this evening.
That's
I
okay.
apologize.
I've been dealing with it for weeks while I was traveling, so I know what you're dealing with.
But like the communication skills and everything, through the integration exercises was always very helpful. So, but trying to think on my feet here what else to say.
what pro tips would you give to somebody? So everyone who's here, they made it into the course. So once you made it into the course, what was your next challenge after getting through enrollment? Was it like setting up your schedule? Was it balancing it with your work and family schedule? What was the big challenge for you?
Oh, having the energy to make it to the late wee hours of the morning on a Saturday morning. Well, for me, what's a Saturday morning? I'm not exactly the youngest guy, so being up for 24 hours straight is something that the teenage version of me would do without a problem. But 35 years old, not so good.
Spring chicken, bro.
Yeah.
Don't think of
So,
yourself as old, please.
oh no, no, no. But I mean,
To balance yourself and not try to like burn the candle
that
at
was a bit of
both
a challenge,
ends.
but that's
Yeah.
easily overcome. I could have found a different way to do all that. But then the thing that I did this to myself was I tried to I got involved with everything that I could. So like before I knew it, like every single night of the week I had something going on. And then I found myself having to cancel with people because I was like falling asleep at the wheel because I drive a truck. And like I'm falling asleep, like I had to like pull over and like take a nap in the middle of my work shift, and I'm like, oh, I can't stay up late every night of the week anymore. So that's me personally. Like
So you
that's
took
what
on
I.
too many extracurriculars.
But that's a good thing. That's a good reflection of what the course has to offer, because there's something that you can do literally every night of the week, every day. There's plenty enough to go and do. It's just for somebody like me, I needed to just pump the brakes and just slow down a little bit.
Good. It's important to find your own speed, right? Not everyone's life in the fast lane. That's why there's other lanes on the highway. Go your
Mm-hmm.
own speed and avoid hitting other people. That's the general rules of this course.
I didn't take it into consideration that there is lifetime enrollment. I didn't really I I just wanted to like eat it all up, thinking, because that was like the scarcity mindset that I had been trained to be in, and that was a big thing for me to break out. So like even though we're learning that in the course, I still had to figure out how to apply it. And but here we are.
That's a good lesson. There was a lesson learned in World War II, similarly, where they're liberating people who had been starved, and then they got their hands on these rations, which were very rich and fatty. And a lot of the people had health problems because you can't just gorge yourself on a bunch of food to take care of like weeks of hunger. On the other hand, someone who has gone days without water can be almost instantly revived. So, like, water deprivation you can recover from very quickly. Food deprivation takes a lot longer for the body to like process that. Same thing here. There are things that you can get readily and it revives you and invigorates you, and there's other things that's going to take you longer to digest, and you shouldn't try to like, if you spend your time trying to get everything out of lecture 1, we'll be in lecture 5 while you're doing that. So
Mm-hmm.
take what you can from each watering hole as we go on this the journey.
Mm-hmm. For sure. That bit that you said earlier about your future self will thank you. I mean, I'm already thanking myself for having enrolled. Now I get to come here and talk with all you guys on a night like this.
Well, thank you for overcoming those technical hurdles in order to be heard tonight. And you can feel free to just listen to Autonomy Radio for the rest of the evening. You're off the hot seat. You've you've come, you've seen, and you've communicated.
Thank you, Daphne, Cody, and Carlos, for letting me jump line.
All right, let's go to Daphne next.
Howdy, howdy.
Hi, Daphne. How are you doing?
Pretty good. How is my sound?
Excellent. It's 5 by
Good.
5, they would say. Do you remember once upon a time when you weren't in this course?
Yes.
What was that like?
Slogging and being dissatisfied. Um, yeah.
And at one point, you decided to stop tolerating that and make change.
Yes. So
what were your challenges getting? What season are you from, and what challenges did you have to overcome to get into this course?
so season 9 is the season I was, so it was last year at this time is when we started. And I think the biggest obstacle to getting in was just knowing about it. I honestly, I didn't know about Richard. I don't know about all his, long history and background. So I was following James Corbett, and I saw his autodidacticism interview, and I thought, oh, that sounds great. I've been learning all by myself all my life. That's great that they're teaching that. So I didn't even really follow that interview all the way through, but I was like, oh, he's well dressed, he's well spoken. Okay. So I kind of made a mental note of that. And in a way, I think it was a little bit intimidating, thinking, oh, that's way above me. Like, look how well dressed he is. He's talking about history. Yeah, forget about it. And so but later on I came across it again, and then uh in the back of my mind I was thinking this job is not going to go very far. I should probably find something else to do. And I had been in business for myself before, and I didn't have a whole lot of success, although I lasted for 10 years doing it. And even that wasn't fully successful, and I thought, so I was reluctant to do it again. And I think what I really was missing was the motivation. So when I received the email, I it was from John Bush, and I thought, oh, I will sit down and go through this later when I get home. And so I did that when I had time, and that landing page sucked me right in. I went through the obstacle course, and I was like, oh, this sounds really good. This sounds like the one ingredient I was missing before. And so I spoke to my husband, and I said, what do you think if I book this blueprint call and find out more? And so I did. And then I think in all, it took me a week.
That's pretty quick.
Again, yeah. And I was so eager. I think it was in February, and it didn't start until the end of March. So I was like, come on, when is this starting?
But you got started. So that's
Yes.
pretty impressive because we designed it so it usually takes people 2 weeks to get through enrollment, because we're not trying to get you excited and then make you press a button to pay. I want people
Mm-hmm.
to have time to think about it, and time to talk to their significant other, and time to have their doubts and then get their questions answered during a call. Right. And even then, it's not like Dan Locke, who's a sales coach out there, he teaches his students how to close people in one call. I think that takes away a lot of your free will to investigate and be informed. And I know if I just inform people and answer their questions, they move ahead. This is how progress works. The questions hold you up, and answered questions allow you to move ahead. So it doesn't need to be pushing, persuading, convincing, and conniving. At any point coming into the course, did you feel anything other than inspiration and like attraction for your growth, or did you feel like we were using a bunch of complex psychological tricks to like take away your free will?
No, definitely not. And I think during now I don't even remember much of the obstacle course content, but I think you guys did mention ethical sales, and I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to be helping people with what I have to offer. And the other side of that really appealed to me is I may not want to be doing the same thing long term. So what other skills that I have that I can apply to the marketplace and maybe figure out diversify what I have to offer. And so, yeah.
So when you came into the course, what was your profession?
Well, I'm a licensed architect, and I still am. That's a lot of hard work that I did without going to school. I achieved my license, and I'm not gonna give it up that fast. But during, I guess, during one of the first interviews. I think it was probably Agnieszka, and she kind of asked all the right questions and coaxed it out, and I went, "Oh, I could be doing that too." And so throughout the course, I kind of had that in mind as a possible goal, and still thinking, how could it be better? How could it be different? How could I approach it? How could I tackle it? And as I got through the course, my job got worse, the pressure got far worse, and I decided, okay, this is enough, and I don't want any more of that. So I actually prematurely quit my job. And but I thought, okay, I know what I want to do, so now I can focus on that. So within 2 months, I had a course online all set up. And I did the content, I recorded it. I was gonna offer it live and record it, but then nobody showed up or signed up for it. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna record it anyway. Then I have it. Then I can offer it both live and pre-recorded. So I think the biggest challenge I'm still working with and through is attracting the people to and finding where the people are that can use that course. um, and yeah, and market it. And after I was done with that aspect of it, and I can focus on the marketing of it, now I shifted my focus on the actual architectural practice. So I set up a business website, and now I'm hitting the ground by cold calling contractors and saying, "Hey, we spoke more than a year ago, and when I was at this other firm, and I'm going on my own business for myself, so I'm setting up coffees and meetings with people." Um, yeah. So
Okay, so
it's
in that situation, it's often effective. Like, so, hey, we had a meeting a year ago. Let's set up coffee. What do they expect? They expect you to pitch them on your new service. What if you don't do that? What if you maybe ask them some questions that allow you to get the next meeting, and it's in such a way? So, anyway, my point would be, by sitting down having coffee and not making it about you, make it about them, they're going to put like, there's going to be some obstacles they're facing on the table. You
Mhm.
might not be the right person to solve that. But in these other meetings that you have, there's likely overlap. And that's where everything starts getting interesting. And by creating the low pressure area of going, like, arranging the coffee or the lunch with the purpose of just like figuring out their needs, because that might, you might say, oh, they have a $5 million budget to do this thing. I could easily do that. And I know two other people that could help me do that. Like, you could take down a big deal, but you're not going to do that by trying to say, look at what I think my offer is, and try to make it fit them. Right. So it's like
Mhm.
going there with a predetermined shoe size and saying, hey, does this fit you? Go there and like measure their foot and come back and make them a custom shoe. Does that make sense in that
Yeah.
translation? Because you're
Oh yeah,
Italian, right? You're Italian. I was thinking Franchetti, Italian shoemakers.
uh, I'm not
Franchetti,
familiar
yeah.
with them.
Carlos Franchetti. He's a baron. He's in Jamie Johnson's movie, The 1%, I think. So anyway, I was trying hard to make that translation. Shoes,
Well, yeah,
custom shoes.
anyway, it does translate, and I appreciate that. I think definitely having gone through this whole process has helped me realize that, yeah, I do have a lot of things to offer other people, and um in the process. So when I decided, okay, I'll focus on the course first, and then I'll focus on doing the business, the services. When I quit my job, I said, okay, I already wasted 15 years doing something I didn't want to do, when I already know something I want to be doing, which is working with natural materials and like rammed earth, and through autonomy, I've learned all about hempcrete. And um, so I decided, okay, I'm gonna take it slow, and I'm gonna try and get a few projects that are, traditional projects, but I need to put myself in the space of the natural builders. And so I basically started contacting all kinds of different people that have been doing it for a while and say, hey, can I interview you? And I kind of accidentally started a podcast. And so um that's been really fun because I get to meet people, and through them I have now the opportunity of saying, hey, oh, by the way, if you ever need an architect in California or Idaho that needs to process these types of permits, now there's like a wider audience, that because I'm giving them a space to basically spread the word about what they're doing. And so they're all super grateful, even though I have zero followings. And I haven't I haven't figured out how to properly pitch it, and share it. Um, but they're all super grateful and happy that somebody's listening to them and interested. So
Well,
that's gonna be the
oftentimes
next.
they know who needs their message, but they don't have a way to make the message happen. So just by scheduling a meeting, conducting an interview, giving them the file afterwards, they put it on their social media and website and these sort of things and showcase it, right?
Yeah.
So you don't need a big following to do that. And that provides them real value. And now they kind of owe you one. And if you were strategic in how you laid it out, you're only interviewing people that you need answers from their expertise to progress your goals,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So you could be in a design mode. You're like, I don't know how to do that for the client. Let me go find the expert on that and build value
Right.
for that expert. And the expert will tell me whatever I need to know. Or I can knock on their door and say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Expert, can I get some of your expertise? And they'll say $1,000 an hour, right? So there's a way that there's a front door and there's a side
Yeah.
door. And the interview skill is how to go to the side door with a lawyer, accountant, whoever you need to talk to that might be high value in the front door. It's like, oh, let me ask over here. And knowing how to ask in those ways can get you answers much quicker and on the friend tip level, like because you're interacting now like as equal colleagues and
Mm-hmm.
not like some sort of competition in the marketplace.
Right. So that's been fun. And it's something that I would have never thought of doing had I not taken autonomy. Now, there's a lot of things that still need to be learned along the way, like how to set up proper sound and do the editing while I'm all doing it by myself. But it's been really fun. And it one thing I would say to everyone that's embarking in entrepreneurship is be patient, because yes, all these tips and tricks and strategies and knowledge are, invaluable, and at the same time it takes time to reach the market. So nothing that you do today is going to necessarily uh come to fruition just tomorrow. It might take quite a few weeks or months. So start now.
It's like planting seeds of curiosity along the way. Oh, what is that? I didn't know about that. And building these little pieces of knowledge. And then before you know it, out of that habit of consistently showing up for yourself, you've got this whole bountiful body of knowledge and experience and connection and camaraderie that builds
Mm-hmm.
up. Because what people notice is when they're showing up, who else is showing up consistently for themselves? Because those are people they're probably going to, form bonds with in like doing these exercises or kicking off a student project. They come up with some business idea and they can realize like me, you, and you, we could do this thing now. Right. So whether you want to look at it like the crew of a sailing ship, right? None of us can sail it by ourselves, but together, if we want to go from A to B, we're going to need like people of these various capabilities and we can do it. And if we do that, then we can make a business out of it. We can take people's stuff back and forth, like you're a merchant shipping company in that metaphor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one more thing is the community is amazing, and you will find people that you can team up with for projects in the real world. And it's amazing. Or maybe it might be a connection. So they might have connections for something that could be useful to you and vice versa. So yeah, there's a lot. I have quite a few examples of that. So definitely a lot of friends to be made around here.
Words of encouragement so season 11 students can break the ice.
Just be curious and have interest in making friends, because that's really what will be opening a lot of doors.
Fantastic. Daphne, thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much, Richard, for offering this. And yeah, it's been fun, and I look forward to this season and getting to know more people.
Yeah, now that I know what you're still working on, it'll be good to see you around while you're still working on it. These are answerable questions, so come to the Pro Media on Thursday nights. That's going to
Right
help you
on.
with some of the editing and production capabilities.
All
All
right,
right.
take care.
All right, superb. Thank you. And now we have Cody and Sid. We're gonna have a walkthrough, and then I'll go to you guys next. And this has been a good unfolding tonight. This is I'm even learning some things from these success stories because they've been updated since I last talked to a lot of these graduates. So Leah, let's do the circle community walkthrough. That way, people who don't stay to the end, they don't miss this very important part about how to get connected in the community and to do all the things Daphne was just talking about of the camaraderie, the interactivity, getting over our introversion, learning how to be good listeners through the interviewing skill set building process. All these things kind of happen in the circle community, the forum, autonomy forum, we call it. And I think Leah and Ashley have an unfolding for us. Let's see if we see a walkthrough. What do you think?
Sounds good. Sounds
Do
good.
it live.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to share screen for the going through this aspect of the forum. Okay, so I'm going to just show you around a little bit. I'm going to show you a little bit of navigation and a little bit of how to. Okay, so this is on desktop, and at the top you have your home, and home is where everything that gets posted will, it's like your feed, you know, just like if you have any other social media where you see your feed, this is where everything will come up, you know, it's a mixed bag. And that's a mixed bag from all of these other interest groups and every other thing that happens. You know, so anything posted anywhere will come up in home. Okay, here you can see the members in your profiles, and you might want to put a picture in, and you can, you know, put a little bit of information on your profile. All right, and then these, I would skip these two. We use in different events, which is a little further down. We have a special group called the Guides, and the Guides are autonomy students who've graduated, who want to come back in and work on autonomy projects and continue to learn things. So they're able to learn more about how things work inside of autonomy, and they get responsibilities inside autonomy. They're actually running some of these programs. They're running Do It Live and the Sunday Q&A. You know, we're training shadow hosts. Colby was trained as a shadow host, and Daphne was even trained, and John Tiggy was even trained as shadow hosts in the.
Justin used to be a shadow host years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, you know, you can learn a lot by coming back in and working on projects in autonomy and continuing to build your skills. So then the Navigator Mastermind, that's a new dedicated accountability mastermind with Richard Grove, and that's part of the platinum package. I'm sorry, that's part of the VIP package. And that is something that people, it's full right now, but I actually made a little category. If enough people are interested, we'll open up another class. And it's an extracurricular from the course that you have. So you can check that out. The Pro Media, it's the course that Richard and I teach on Thursday nights. That's part of the platinum package, and you could actually upgrade to this. You can, if you want to join in for Pro Media season 11, you know, I've got a payment portal right in the how-to. I'll show you that in a minute. So if you're interested in taking that, you can do it. And it's for 1 whole year. So you get to go through 2 seasons of building your course and, learning how to do different kinds of media. So that's really a great program. Okay, and then here's just to start here. There's a little bit of information about the community, the code of conduct, notifications, connecting with other people, etc. Okay, here's where you can come in and introduce yourself to everybody. When you join, go ahead and just let everybody know, who you are and what you're up to, and you're going to see that look, 15 comments, right? This is a really welcoming community, as you've heard everybody mention. So definitely take the time to go ahead and check that out. All right, here's the how-to. Now, this is where I put a bunch of posts that can tell you how to do different things. We talked about autonomy vlogging earlier. Here's the link. It's also in events. But, definitely enrich your journey with the vlogging. Okay. Then there is the pro media. Like I mentioned, there's a couple of links in here if you wanted to upgrade and take this course. The mastermind, it gives you the instructions if you're interested, and we build another cohort if enough people want to get that personal accountability mastermind with Richard Grove, right? So that's a new thing. Pitch your offer to autonomy. So a lot of times in autonomy, you'll hear somebody say, oh, that's a really great idea. That's your job now. So you inherit the jobs that you think of, right? Well, that's really great if you're working on your own projects, but if you're having ideas about autonomy, we want to get it into a form. We have a little pitch your offer form, and it's really cool because it has this, it has a guide in it that you can go and look at that gives you, all of the different things that you need to put in there. So there's like a form you fill out, but a guide how to fill out that form. So that's really great. So, you don't want to just come in and start trying to rearrange all the furniture. It's like, you want to just be able to say, hey, I've got an idea to rearrange furniture. And then we go, oh, that sounds good. What resources do you need? What are your ideas for it? How does that look? Who's going to be involved? Right? So anything that you have an idea for, you're going to work with administration to enact, right? So you have your autonomy everywhere, and inside of autonomy, we work with autonomy. So I'll put it that way. And then, so we have graduation. When you graduate, you'll learn how to graduate by checking out what's going on in this post. It gives you the questionnaire, etc. You'll get to that eventually, but that's where the information is. If you're a graduate and you want to join to be a guide, you can get the instructions on how to be a guide here. Guest speakers, if you have an idea for a guest speaker, you can always submit that. Masterminds, your mastermind is going to be one of the highlights of your autonomy journey. I don't even think they were mentioned yet tonight, but it's one of the greatest things. You're going to have the best support system. And so this is kind of like the instructions about how the masterminds go down. All right. Customer service, right? So we are directing everybody with questions to support@richardgrove.com. Technical questions about this.
.org.
Sorry?
I think it's .org.
Oh, it is .org. You're correct. Thank you for that. richardgrove.org, support@richardgrove.org. Right now we have Olivia working that help desk, so she can take your questions and direct you to me, to whoever needs to know, technical, we can solve your problems by taking everybody through this one area, and then they can just the operator can send the call where it needs to go, right? So
And
not
then Olivia and her daughter graduated in season 7, I think.
Yeah. So not everybody is DMing me or DMing, Richard, or DMing so-and-so, because, my loop to get back to people can be a day or two right now. So it's just, you know, we've just set it up where she knows how to get you anywhere you need to go or fix anything you need fixed. Okay. All right. So then when you start adding your own events into the forum, when you start running your own programs, right? And you're going to be doing that because it's a laboratory. It's to be able to shop your ideas to the market using the autonomy audience as your pilot audience. So it's a really one of the most amazing things here. Not only do we have tons of things that we can go to every day, amazing events, you know, it's because of students creating them, right? In addition to the autonomy events. So we have guidelines for the autonomy events, and it tells you how to post them. You submit a form, and then they're posted for you, but there's some information you need to know before you do that. Okay, and then Do It Live. This is how you can get signed up for Do It Live. And right now, Carlos and Dave Randall are the guides who are running Do It Live. So they're going to walk you through everything. So you just sign up through this portal, and then you can, you know, get ready and get signed up because the times do get filled up, and you want to make sure you get in for the season. So they book the whole season, first come, first serve. So if you think you might want to Do It Live under your belt, and it's really amazing, you should do it. Definitely book it right away, or else, you know, you may end up going between seasons. And I want to mention also too about Daphne was saying, like, when is it going to start? When is autonomy going to start? Well, we started a new thing between seasons where we run one of the courses from the library now, and we do a Q&A with it, right? So there's a course happening all year round. So between the course of action, we're running something else. And we ran the Ultimate History lesson with John Taylor Gatto, and I think a lot of people came to that. So, you know, even people who were joining were invited over from Autonomy Quest and things like that. So a lot of people got to go, and everybody loved it. And we also ran the Sunday Q&A, called it Community Connection. So it wasn't with Richard Grove, but it was with the community, and it's being developed. They were putting themes into it, and that was really very successful. So nobody's sitting around going, hey, when's it going to start anymore? Because we have stuff going on 24/7, 365 days a year right now. So essentially, you know, grab your spot on Do It Live, because you could end up doing it in between seasons. It used to stop in between seasons, but now that also runs in between seasons as well. So that's very exciting that, you know, autonomy is like you can join any time of the year and you can be fully engaged. So that's really good. All righty, here's your class chat. And this is where basically everybody just, you know, is the main chat. We talk during lectures and we talk in between lectures. This is kind of like just, you know, Autonomy Central, basically. Announcements, occasionally we'll pump out announcements, and here you'll probably get announcements in email from the Kajabi course, because we just want to make sure we blanket everybody and we get them, you know, get the announcements out. So keep your eyes on that. Replays, when we put up the replays, they'll be posted here. You can link directly to them, right to the Kajabi, University of Reason. Same thing with integration exercises. They will get posted. You can post them here if you want. You know, you don't have to post your integration exercises, but you're more than welcome to. And most people do enjoy putting them in here to share those. Graduation interviews, eventually they'll be going up here too. Same thing. You don't have to post it here. You don't have to give permission to use it for marketing, but it's always good if you do, you know, and you can share that with other people. And here, Do It Live has its very own category. You can follow here. Here's the vlogging journey channel. So when you do your vlogs, you're welcome to post them here as well. And this has been really fun and really amazing. And it really connects you with people. And when you kind of like make yourself vulnerable and you put yourself out there and you do those vlogs, it really gives people a lot of, I want to say, just ability to connect with you. So you can do yourself a great favor by putting your vlogs in here so that people feel connected to you, and vice versa. And occasionally Richard will put things in here that he finds. So he's got some interesting things he'll throw in. And once in a while, if he sends me something, I'll throw it in there for him. Alrighty. And so we have a library section, a bulletin board, a resource hub, feedback and suggestions. Now, the graduate chat is going to be locked off until you graduate. This is a new feature, and it's so that we can, have a little more clean-hearted fun, as graduates that isn't strictly course-related. So this is a new category that we workshopped and came up with. And then plug your work. If you have something going on, put it in there, right? You got a podcast, you're doing, you have a product or you're working on something, then go ahead and put it in there. Now, we do have a very strict policy that new students, they're not to be sold products from graduates, because you need to take some time to learn your intellectual self-defense. You need a little bit of time to kind of get your bearings. So we strictly prohibit graduates from selling products to new students. All right, so you can plug your work, but you can't sell it to a new student. How you've done it, what did you figure out? So much of what you're doing here is you're figuring stuff out. Like you're going to be so amazed at the confidence you find to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to be a video editor, and you're going to open up that video editing program and you're going to be doing it. So like how I've done it is really good, because when you learn something, you can throw it in there and other people can get really inspired by it. Center Stage is a wonderful, it's an event hosted by Michael and Darren hosts this. They're wonderful at this, and they feature autonomy students. So that's a wonderful program. Here we have dojos. These are Jitsi dojos. So it's kind of like Zoom, but it's called Jitsi. It works in a very similar way. So you're free to like use these dojos if you want to work out with people with your integration exercises. Personal development, like all of these interest groups for you to kind of check out and get into the conversation and have some information about. Homeschooling, people have so many varied interests in autonomy, and we have kind of like a little niche for everybody to be able to, participate and create and engage. Okay. If you're in Europe, definitely post something here. Find people in your realm, right? Find people in the real if you're in these countries. So, or people that are in your time zone for you to do integration exercises with. Okay. Your mastermind, you'll have your very own chat when you get into that. And then I think that's pretty much it. I think, Ashley, would you like to go through the events?
Sure. And do you want me to share my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. You got it. My favorite part. Okay, so this is the events column, as you can see, and I wanted to go back and show where I clicked on this. So under welcome, is this the right one that you were telling people to click on, Leah?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So then the events, and then you can see what is upcoming and then what was just passed. So the past is going to show like Autonomy Quest that we had tonight and the meet and greet here. And then the upcoming is going to show what we have coming up in the very near future. So here we have the Do It Live podcast. It tells you when it is, the time, and Leah has probably mentioned this before, but everything is noted in Eastern time. So it gives you the link to the event. It tells you who's coming. It gives you an option to RSVP, and you can click onto that. And then sometimes there's a little descriptor and sometimes not, but obviously you're going to know what Do It Live is. That's the podcast. And then we'll go over just a couple events for the next week. So on the 30th, there is a Kybalion study group. So if you're curious about that, you can just click in there and it'll give you a little bit of information. So this is the study of the Hermetic philosophy of ancient Egypt and Greece. And once again, it gives you the link for your virtual event. It gives you the time, it gives you who's hosting it, and an option for you to like and make comments to the people that are hosting. So we have that coming up. We have the Atana Toasters, and that is a Easter Sunday special, Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern, going until about 11:30 a.m. Eastern. And this is hosted by Mr. Mike Nimitz. And what this one is about is giving students an opportunity to work on presenting their ideas and not only getting feedback from the community, but also working on their public speaking. And then we on Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern, this is where we have our part 2 of our worldwide meet and greet. And that is where new students can come and introduce themselves to each other and the rest of the community and the graduates that join. And then after that, on Sunday, Dave's 13-day creative challenge is beginning, 4 p.m. And this is a theme for this 13-day creative challenge is cannabis. You're welcome to create something on your own, work with others, or both. And basically, this is an artistic collaboration led by Dave. And they come up with usually a project working together. Also, we have May and the Magic Bullet. This is a podcast talking about the work of May Brussels, and he does this every Sunday, and a lot of research is put into that.
Yeah, Tim
So
was
you,
he was a season 1 graduate, and that's like he started the podcast out of season 1, learning how to do these things, and he's done it for I guess 5 years now, continuously. So that and many other things of the extracurricular nature show up on the event. But Ashley, I wanted you to point out for the new students, like this is all trying to drink from a tsunami with a straw. What are the
yes,
things, since you just graduated last season, right? What are the things that they need to know about, like chat and events, and the rest of the stuff will just come along the course, right? This is,
yes,
we're showing you all the features and bells and whistles, but really you just need to have access to the chat and click the events and know how to click a link in there. And that simplifies it for people who might feel a
yes.
little overwhelmed at this point.
Yep. And just asking questions. If you're interested in something or curious, just ask someone.
That worked for you? Did you ever ask people questions when you didn't know what was going on?
Yes, I did.
All right. So that's like how to get from here to there. Thank you both, Leah and Ashley.
And
Well,
things show up in your time zone. Even though autonomy, we speak Eastern time on the app, the circle, it'll show up in your own personal time zone that you set.
so you don't have to do any calculating, ciphering, reckoning. All right. So Cody and Sid still had their hands up. They're still here. Let's go to Cody first, and then we'll go to Sid. Cody, you got to unmute.
Yeah. Oh, the technology thing's got to happen first before we can talk.
All right. So how old are you and what season did you get in? Or how old were you when you got into autonomy and what season was it?
It was season 6, and I was either 20 or 21. I forget which, honestly. But yeah, early 20s.
And how did you hear about this course?
So my mom listens to Grand Theft World, and she has for a very long time. And well, she saw where I was at my point in my life, pointed me to autonomy. And when I looked at the the obstacle course, I could, see that this is could be a way to get me out of the rut I'd been stuck in. Got through the obstacle course, got into the course.
And at that young age, what kind of rut were you stuck in?
So out of high school, tried a job as an apprentice electrician, but didn't like the hands-on, would do something a little bit more with my mind, but then got into this rut of just playing video games from, well, not dawn to dusk. It was going to well past dusk. And then like that was just what my life was. It's just, eat, sleep, game, repeat. And it had been like it for almost 2 years at that point. And it was getting to that point where it's like, okay, this is getting samey. This is getting boring. This isn't doing anything. I want to do something with my life. And so pretty much was a perfect fit.
Now, in there, your brain is struggling because it likes video games because like your brain likes to process stuff. And
Mhm.
if you don't self-direct it on what to process, like video games are like the fast food for your brain.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are just fast fooding it and they're not really getting the nutrition they need. So they just play more video games, right? So for you to self actualize, to self recognize, to put yourself through this curriculum and to take the actions accordingly, what were some of the challenges for you in order to do that?
Yeah, the biggest challenge was, sticking through the season, and the goals that I'd set for myself. In season 6, I kind of, just, showed up for myself and just, listened to all the lectures, joined in all the Q&As. Uh, I joined the video editing group that met every week. And, I just hung in there. I just kept showing up for myself and just, kept drinking through that tsunami with my straw and just, but yeah, the big thing, it was, the habit of, how I'd been before that needed to be overcome. And it was a very gradual process.
And through that gradual process of showing up for yourself, you learned how to use your computer for something
Mm.
other than gaming.
Yeah.
Several things actually that you get paid for now, other than gaming.
Yeah. Yeah. Firstly, so I've got 2 computers in this room, and that one is for streaming with Grand Theft World every Sunday. Every Sunday, I come up here, set up a few things on the back end, get that computer to send out the stream to all the folks that want to hear about it.
Now that
And
sounds like
with
a tough, complicated job. Does it entail you just pressing a couple buttons and then sitting back and watching us connect into it and everything's just facilitated? Like it's
Yeah.
pretty, like you needed knowledge to set it up. You needed to be known by the people who had the problem. So we were having a problem streaming. Cody found out about it. He's like, you guys could remote connect into my computer and he could solve it. And now we pay him as a service. He's a service provider, right? We pay him weekly on that. And then you develop video editing skills. Whatever became of those video editing skills? Did you ever use them in the real life?
Yeah, I used them plenty throughout the past couple of years. I did most of the video editing for uploading the autonomy lectures and Q&As to Kajabi. Other things like marketing for autonomy, I've done some of that between seasons. A few odd jobs between, here and there, things for like with John Bush, someone else in the freedom community. I have I guess it would be like a 1099 contractor,
Yeah, you're a
something like,
freelance
yeah,
contractor.
freelance
It's
contractor, that's
fancy,
the word.
fancy.
And anytime he needs, something done, he can reach out to me and I can do his service for him and get paid for it.
All right, so that's a good like self ramping out of like so you were video games completely not productive. Then you
Mhm,
did some training, then you learned some skills, you started to apply those skills, started making some money, right?
mhm,
So you were hired by me and you were never fired by me, but you don't work for me anymore.
mhm.
What happened there?
I started a new job with commission sales, selling home improvements to, go out in the world, knock on people's doors, people who need a problem fixed, ask a few questions, have a conversation, see if there's a problem that I can fix.
And what's the specialty? Are you doing roofs? Are you doing solar? Are you doing windows? What kind of help are you doing for property owners?
I do windows and bathroom, just the shower part of the bathroom, but bathroom remodels.
All right, that's strong. Now, Justin, who was talking earlier, he graduated autonomy. He started to apply his sales skill set in a solar area. They had asked him to do things outside of his bounds of integrity. He said, I'd no longer like to work there, and he found himself a better job. Have you encountered anything at your current employer that would like be outside of your bounds of integrity as I've taught you how to do sales?
The in short, no. longer answer. It's been, the past few months have, kind of been a journey for me of, kind of digging into, okay, what is it that, DeBella, the company that I'm working for, has done. And, getting started with them, it was October that I started, the training. And, the first day of training, the first thing that saw was this, big, you got to memorize, what's called the agenda script, let the homeowner know we're gonna, talk for a while about, the company, the product, everything about this, you just get it all on the
Sure.
table. And it's about a minute long script. You got to memorize it, and I'd never memorized anything like that before. So I was a little like, "Whoa, I'm not sure I can do this." But then throughout the rest of that first day of the training, I saw DeBella's founding story, and I mean, it was very similar to autonomy in the sense, well, like not really to autonomy, but kind of like to your story, Richard, where I won't spoil the details for the rest of the students.
Yeah, they get it in the graduation lecture.
Yeah,
Don't spoil it.
but for DeBella's story, Donnie, the owner, in 2008, when there was that housing crash, he'd picked up a bunch of burned roof leads. Projects have just been abandoned when companies went belly up. Called up all these people and were able to get their projects done and get it done right. And a few years later, he started DeBella.
All right. So seeing a problem that's underserviced and then figuring out how to provide service once allows you to replicate. Like if you can fix this one situation, what is so different about these other 29 situations that you can't help them out too? So you're in a place that sells something that a segment of the market needs and a large segment of the market does not care about your windows or your need to sell them to me. How do you find the people that actually need the windows as opposed to bugging the people who are renters and don't have any interest in windows or something like that?
Yeah, for me, I have, the company finds the leads through their marketing. They've got a couple of canvassers, the guys that, run around, knock on doors, see it, who needs it, and then I, show up, a couple of days later to, the warm lead, where, they called us out to take a look at the windows or the bathroom because
Sure. They want a free
they
estimate.
yeah, they want a free estimate. They know they have at least some level of a problem. And it's, my job to, see, what need are you trying to fix? What problem are you trying to fix? Does what I have fit that need?
And whether or
Uh,
not they can afford it.
yeah, and whether or not they can afford it. And it's, it's literally just, have a 2 hour conversation with someone about, what they need done.
Sure. And as you do that, do you run into things that you have no experience or knowledge in? And how do you handle those situations?
Oh yeah, I've run into many a situation where I'm like, never seen this before, do not know how to handle this. It's been a learning experience meeting with all sorts of people from all walks of life for sure.
In the past, when you were
Mm.
gaming all the time, were you as ready to put yourself into situations of the unknown where you're like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I got to try, I got to take some steps and find out, right?
Yeah, when I was, stuck in that rut, yeah, no, I was very much, do what's already known.
Comfortable.
Don't, yeah, do what's comfortable, whereas, pretty much I'm triggering my complexity just about every day, as every appointment is going to throw at least three curveballs at me. And
Yes.
it,
And some of those curveballs you're not supposed to swing at, right?
Mhm.
So like learning how to show up on a job and assess, is there a liability in this for me? Like, because if you go into a situation always trying to win the job, you're going to win some jobs you wish you wouldn't have had like
Mhm.
won, right? So how do you go in and assess their qualification for your need and your qualification for the reciprocal need? Have you like overcome those hurdles, or do you have to go to management, or do you crash and burn? Like what happens?
Yeah, so one of the jobs that I did take on is, it's a job that I regret having taken on.
Those are some
And
of the best stories.
mhm, yeah, the oh man, like the short version is Living in a manufactured home, she was, an older, well past retirement. She had, a decent retirement. It's not, just, paycheck to paycheck on SSI. She has some money, but like she wasn't thrilled with. Let me back up a sec. Because
Let me
the
ask you
the
this. Does so is it like how old did you say she was?
probably in 70s. I didn't know exactly how old.
Is she living by herself?
Her and her husband.
Do they own the house?
Yes.
Do they need the windows?
They had old single pane windows and they were not happy with how hot it was inside the house, even with air conditioning. So yes.
Okay, so they've got energy loss. Let me ask you this. Does fixing the windows fix that problem, or do they have a bunch of other air gap problems throughout the house? It's still going to be the same thing.
Fixing the windows would alleviate one of the major sources of heat penetration. Yes.
Will updating these windows help in the transfer of the house or sale of the house if they pass away or decide to move to Florida?
Yes.
Okay. Does the value increase in the house exceed the cost of putting in the windows?
Ask that one more time.
Does the value increase of the house by having new windows, real estate wise? Does it exceed the cost of putting in the new windows? Like if I have a house on the market and it's dilapidated, I'm putting $2,000 of paint on there, and that's the first thing you can do to visually improve it, right? Likewise, when you add new windows, energy efficiency, ease of use, these sort of things, sound blocking, those are all value adds for the real estate. So if the value add of the real estate is like 10x of the cost of the windows, it becomes like a no-brainer. And then my next question would be, do the people you're dealing with actually understand like you're losing money without this and you gain money with this? Then they can make a fiduciary decision on their own, being given like the weight of the opportunity cost. Does that make sense?
Yes, and to answer both parts of the question, long term for the windows, yes. I've called what we have investment grade as they last long enough that as inflation grows, that value grows with it, and all the energy savings and so on over the long term.
Last question in regards to the care of the property. Does it have a solid roof? Is everything else on the property solid? And this is the thing that really needs to be done right now, in your estimation?
Oh
I
man,
know
it's
your
been
boss,
a
your boss
been a
doesn't want you
while.
thinking of that because your boss just wants you to sell windows, right? But treat it like it's your grandmother.
Mhm.
You don't want to rip your grandmother off, right? You don't want your grandmother spending money in places where she's not going to realize the return,
Yeah, if
right?
I
If she needs
remember,
groceries, you don't want her paying to have her shrubs trimmed. Like get groceries first, take care of the property second, right? So in these elements of like being a caring individual who's dealing with people who need your guidance, if all these things that I've asked are kind of checked off, then I would feel good about the, going forward, interacting in that transaction. If any of that stuff, I would literally tell them like, look, what you really need to do is fix the ramp that goes to your front door because the person in the wheelchair is going to fall off the ramp. You need to fix that before these windows, right?
yeah.
Help them get their priorities straight in some cases and walk away from the deal
Mhm.
if it's that sort of thing. Or if it's a legit qualified deal, then help them solve the problem
Yeah,
and give them an offer that when they get comparable offers, like there's no comparison. Even for
yeah.
the money, your quality and quality assurance and communication are going to outweigh all these other things over here. So,
Yeah, and where I'd fallen short was expressing all of that of, how we do have the more expensive product, but we do have, but that, it comes with, we'll actually take care of the project when things inevitably go awry,
sure.
and I didn't do a very good job of expressing all of that. And then the project, ended up, discounting fairly heavily, to secure it. And there was just tension of they're like, I'm not 100% sure if this is the right thing for me, but this is also too good of a deal to pass up. And then it was just friction the whole way through on it. And it was
What do you think is the root cause of that friction? And what do you think you can do to alleviate that pressure that shouldn't be in the equation?
the root cause of the friction was me not being a good enough salesman of where's the value here? And like that's pretty much it. Me not, being able to express the value, well enough.
Okay. Well, part of that's you being new to it, right?
Hmm.
Part of that is understanding how what you're offering translates to them, which is also behind the line of questioning that I just made up off the top of my head of how would I address this situation and triage it. Um, what was the outcome with the client? Did they buy Windows or not?
Yes, they bought Windows. They're being installed, very shortly. But they bought, months ago. Our lead time is, a couple of weeks because, custom Windows, it takes a while to build.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, it was one of the
All right.
ones,
So you sold them custom Windows. You know when they're being installed. Is the place of installation within driving distance?
yes.
Will
I can
will the
dig
people
up
that
the
bought the
address.
Windows be there when they're getting installed?
That's part of the problem that's making this one a little bit, iffy. They're snowbirds,
I
back and
gotcha.
forth.
Yeah.
And
So why don't you be like someone who goes there and kind of
Mhm,
does some oversight and takes some
mhm,
footage and communicates with them and says, here's your Windows being installed, here's protection being put to your
mhm,
property or cleanup or these sort of things.
mhm,
Go that extra mile for like this is early in your career, right? If you're allowed to, if your boss allows you to go to a job
mhm.
site and that sort of thing, do a little personal oversight on that. And especially because there's snowbirds in this situation, because doing it right one time and going through that extra trouble, then you're going to see that do it the second time. Going through that extra trouble is worth it, isn't it? It's a lot
Yeah, and then you
easier.
can you can see what's on it. And I did that with one of my bath leads of, show up midway through installation, see what it's like on the back end, talk with our installers. And it was a bit of an eye opener talking with the guys because they really do have that passion for the work they do.
They do. And if you go there and like I would do it while they're setting up to make sure they're respecting the property, covering up stuff, whatever they need, drop cloths,
Hmm.
protective measures, right? Set the tone for here's who I am. I sold this deal. It's my reputation on the line. I want to learn from you. You're the expert, but I
Hmm.
also am here to make sure it gets done properly, right? And you're only going to go through that process once in the dark. After that, you got some expertise because somebody showed you how what done right looks like, right?
Yeah.
So even when you don't know, just putting yourself in that situation to receive that experience is going to make you so much stronger at what you do. All right, that's an advanced workout. So for everyone who's coming into season 11, after you graduated, you
Mhm.
got your mom to go through this course.
Yeah.
Usually it's the other way around. And a parent goes through and then they bring their child through. You went through
Mhm.
and then your mom came through. I think that's beautiful. And how did that come about?
Yeah. Let's see, I got through season 6 and 7. And I, participated heavily in season 6 and 7. Season 8 was, there for, like the first half, and then you kind of like, hanging out in the back end. And I think was it season 9 that, no, I think it was season 10 that I got my mom to join, I think. Okay, irrelevant detail. Okay. It just, came about, just talking about, how much value I got out of the course, and, my mom, she lives with me. She sees all the value. She could, talk about everything that she's seen that's different. And then, I just, brought up that, hey, since I got through the course, and it's like family discount, someone else in the family, can, jump on for a little less, because there's not all the marketing that has to be done to get them in. Uh, and then I mean, it just went from there of like, here's what I got from it. Here's what you could get from it. What do you think?
Yeah, the reduced price for family members really lowers the excuse barrier, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. That's it
That's
perfectly.
what it's
Really has
supposed to
lowered the
do.
excuse barrier.
Yeah, because I figure, look, here's how it works. Freedom depends on us being strong individuals with strong families, and we can make strong communities, and then we can have strong state and strong countries again. And people can use logic and reason instead of like force violence and coercion. To do that, we're going to have like early adopters. And I figure the people who know us and see the changes that come with these skills, they respect that and they probably want a little bit of water from the well too. And yeah, that's It's an honest way to grow without going to a whole bunch of strangers and being like, "Hey, look at this." You know, this is natural. This is grassroots.
Mm.
And thank you, Cody, for contributing to it. And you've been to the Porcupine Freedom Festival. Do you have your knife around? Is it within reach?
I can go grab it.
Yeah,
It'll take
go
me
grab
just
it.
a
I'll tell a
second.
story. So first off, I met Cody in person last June in my backyard. He parked next door in the wrong driveway, kind of, and he was walking across the yard. And the first thing I had to say to Cody was, "Oh my goodness, how tall are you?" Cody is 6'7". I'm 6'2". I only noticed people taller than me. I knew he was taller than me, so I wanted to be like, "How much taller than me are you, dude?" So working in Porkfest in these tents, they're high enough I can walk under, but Cody has to duck for everything. So he worked long hours in the kitchen. We worked some nights, wee hours in the morning, scrubbing dishes and everything because we run the Autonomy Cafe up there. It's a practical application of entrepreneur skills, and we all just learn it. You know, there's people who there that kind of know how to do stuff, and other people just learn and jump in. Somebody might be taking orders, somebody might be cooking smash burgers, somebody might be doing dishes or doing some prep, and it's a fun little restaurant experience that only exists for 1 week each year in New Hampshire. So Cody earned his he's got his Excalibur sword there for the round table. Look at that. That's a hardworking man's bonus. And it was sharpened by Jim, right? Look at that. I laser etched it in there. It says Cody. So you can check it out.
I can't tell if it's upside down or not because
No,
of
it's
the way
good.
the
It's good. It's
camera
perfect
mirrors it.
now. No, it's good. Don't cut yourself, bro.
Mm.
That's serious. That's a
Yeah.
serious implement. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, we cut the various steaks or we prep some of the we cut the quesadillas with those, we do the pizzas, all
Mhm.
the stuff we make. There's only a couple of those implements in the world. And Cody is now the custodian of one of them. So thank you again for the contribution at the festival last year. In addition to all the editing and other stuff that helped you get to the confidence of now being a highfalutin window salesman.
Oh yeah. And also at Pork Fest with that, I got walked away with some real gold and silver. It's a whole ounce coin and then the gold backs. They're real gold. Let's see.
Yeah, that's a type of currency. If you guys have never seen that, a couple different states print those. They're made by libertarian minters, and they take gold, they polymerize it into various notes. The notes actually have weight to them. And my question when they were trying to pitch me on it was, how do I get my gold back? And they said, you drop it in the crucible, the plastic evaporates, and you're left with your gold. I said, good enough answer. And I started taking them as currency up there. So, it's not just for festivals and stuff like that. It's also something if the dollar lost value, those things don't. They are tied to the price of gold because they are gold, but they're in a more spendable form. All right. Excellent hot seat there, Cody. Good workout. You can now relax. I'm going to Sid and then Carlos.
Hey, Richard. Always a pleasure. I'm psyched for season 11.
Am I keeping you up tonight? Are you a night owl or are you early bird?
I am both, actually. I'm burning. I sometimes burn the candle at both ends, but I try to take a walk around sunrise every day, so that keeps me honest as far as when I go to bed.
That's pretty good. All right, so you're in Montreal. What season did you join, and what was a major hurdle in getting into the course for you?
So I joined Autonomy. Well, I'm a season 4 graduate. I joined on the last day of season 3, but I took the course for season 4, and I would say that the major obstacle that I had was not knowing how I could not knowing how I could come up with the money to join. And through mentioning the through mentioning my desire to join Autonomy, Brett set up the interview that you did, and through that conversation, we got to set up an agreement where I could trade for the opportunity to participate in this course, and it's been uh, so difficult to explain the impact that it's had on me. Like I picked up this when I during season 4, I picked up the Notion tool, which I've been using ever since. And it's kind of been a compounding interest feature where I'm already looking forward to season 12 because I have the feeling that I'm at the turning point where the compound interest starts going up. I'm kind of in inspiration shock right now, so
Yeah.
it's a phenomenal problem to have. Yeah.
I'm going to turn up the voltage on your shock. Let me ask you this. Since you're the Notion guru, I was going to say Notion nerd, but it was too much alliteration for my taste. The Notion guru. So, do you have something in Notion right now you could share your screen and like explain to the audience? There's a piece of software that helps with organization, project management, stuff like that. There's simple stuff that we're going to teach you, but there's more complex stuff. So you got to be like a grade 4 nerd, like you top level nerd level, would appreciate Notion. It's a little too complex for my taste. I have my fingers in a lot of different activities during the week. I can't put that much time into one piece. Sid puts enough time in one piece to make it really pay off, to expedite, and to actually be part of his freelance contractor skill set, right? You use it in your jobs.
Yes, actually, and in my 9 to 5. But it's funny too because that compounded on a bunch of other things because back in a past life I was actually a programmer, so I had a technical background to begin with, and also I was already watching videos accelerated. I had not hit 2x yet. I was still at 1.75 at the time, but that little edge gave me the inspiration to go through the ridiculously long playlist of August Bradley on how he set up his Notion. But I'm doing it in almost half the time, so that's kind of motivating to actually go through all that shit. And I clip chimped the fuck out of that playlist and pause chimped. I mean, I like pausing and seeing what he's doing to replicate some of the things. Plus, I got some of his templates before he put them behind his paywall. So I got to uh, manage a bunch of things. I am not able to screen share while the host gives me permission to do that. I can like take
Oh, I'm working on it right now.
I could kind of give you a peek at my action center, which is the main hub where I manage all my projects. Actually, is there anything here that would be
I just quit.
embarrassing
All right,
slash I
good,
don't
because I
want
don't
to
have those
show?
superpowers in this meeting.
Yeah. No, there's nothing.
I'm totally
Yeah,
dependent
this
on
is good.
Shadow Host right now. I feel so vulnerable. All right, so now that you have screen sharing capability, so you didn't learn that like autonomy. It wasn't in the slides. I didn't teach Notion, but because of what I was teaching in the slides, you saw this tool. Tyler saw this tool. A whole bunch of people started using this, right? And then you found a proclivity where you're like, this is the tool I want to hang out with every day. And you just started doing a whole bunch of stuff in there. Yeah. So this is your action center. This is notion.so is the website for the software. I believe it's free or some nominal
Ye-
fee. That's not
Yeah,
on my
so
radar.
the heart of it all is setting up databases where you put all your stuff and setting up dashboards that interact with all those databases. So the main things that interact here are projects, tasks, and notes. This is the shit that I have to do today. Now it is past midnight, so not only does this have the shit that I did today
Didn't
and
do.
didn't check off, it also has the shit that I
Yeah.
have to do tomorrow, like filming the weekly tower readings that I do every week. The alignment zone, I already did that, so I'll kick that to next Tuesday here like that, and now it's gone from this view. And it's oh yeah, I'm visiting my parents today, tomorrow. Anyway,
See,
that kind
good thing you
of
had a reminder.
yes, the little asterisks, because Notion isn't very good with repeating tasks. And back in the day, August would his
Mark
workaround was
those
to
to
put
copy
little
them.
asterisks, and instead of checking it off as done, you just change the date to the next time you're going to do it. Hence,
It's a good
visiting
workaround.
folks is not something that I want to do just once, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then this ties into the projects. Do I have anything embarrassing here? No, that's
Do you have any
fine.
do you have any projects that involve me?
Yes, actually, the yeah, you can see my whole notion. It's pinned to the side here, Autonomy Media stuff. This is like the go-to where I interact with most of the stuff that I do. There might be security risks
Yeah,
on
okay.
the
I
screen
got you.
right
Yeah,
now.
don't dox me or nothing, bro.
But yeah, this is, and oh, the reason that it interfaces with the the tarot course project is because last time I took the pro media course,
That
we
was your
got to
course.
create a course.
Yeah.
I'm not finished with it yet. And not only that, I have a bunch of other projects that I'm inspired by. My goal, because
Does
this
that happen
summer
a
will
lot,
mark,
Sid?
sorry?
Does that happen a lot, the bright and shiny things thing?
Yes,
Where you don't finish
absolutely.
something, right? That might be the
Yes.
thing holding you back, kid.
It absolutely. I'm fully aware.
No,
Um
I'm just being
the
facetious with you.
This summer marks the 10th year anniversary of me buying my first tarot deck. So if I publish the course around or before that time, that would be awesome. That's what
10
I'm
years
really
in the
aiming for.
making. Yeah,
Yeah,
overnight
hell yeah.
success after
Yeah.
10 years. That's good. All right, good. You use that for like distribution of clips and things like that in your past?
Well, yeah, that because that's function's been migrated over to Trello, but
That's good because now I
back in the
use
day,
Trello. Trello's
yeah,
within my skill
exactly.
set. You had too many buttons to push over there.
That As much as I love Notion, I that is a disadvantage that anyone must acknowledge. It is super easy to click on the wrong thing. You click one pixel to the left or right, and you kind of need to redo what you just did or whatever. It like
It's more
I
finicky.
accidentally messed up one of my dashboards today, and I have no idea why. I kind of just went to it after having been on it earlier, and one of the things that I know is there just wasn't. Like I just recreated it because it's easy, but yeah, sometimes it do be like that. Yeah.
All right. So when you went through the course for the first time, you remember what it was like? All the unknowns, all the pressure you put on yourself that you didn't need to put on yourself, those sort of things.
Hmm.
Call some of those things out for the new season 11 students to ease their burden.
Well, the when I first joined, we were still on Discord. And the my experience, like the community was so welcoming that it was almost overwhelming. Like that was something that I had to adapt to the first couple days. And the funny thing is, I think it was Keith who was the first person to reach out. Like on the day I joined the Discord, he was like, "Hey, you want to talk?" And I'm like, "Oh, sure." And through having had Lee, I meant Lee. You're
Oh, you
right
meant
here.
Lee.
Lee
He's
the
right here. He's
Wayfinder.
got his hand
Yes.
up next
Yeah,
after
yeah,
Carlos.
exactly. So yeah, having spoken to him, like probably less than an hour after joining the Discord, that kind of set the pace for what I can expect interactions with people to be. And it was since, as mentioned before, I joined on the last day of season 3, so the graduation lecture was my first lecture. So
Cheater.
yeah.
Feel
I
you were
lost track of
handicapped
what the
by taking
question
the
was. I'm
Hey,
sorry.
do you feel you were handicapped by taking the lecture out of order like that?
No, absolutely not. It was great. I got to meet the season 3 people between seasons
Yeah,
as
it was
well
like you
as
graduated with them and then you came back like you were like a senior student when the with your own class. It was kind of cool.
yeah. No, it was good. And again, the interview skill that you build doing this course was it's an invaluable skill, and it's surprisingly rare. It's sad in a way, but yeah, just asking questions, listening, and connecting to things that you heard before in order to find out, like, oh, where are you at, where you want to be, what's in the way. Like, it's really that simple. Well, okay, it's not that simple, but it is, you know?
It's that simple, but it's not easy, but it's not exactly
Yeah.
hard either. It's just like you have to apply yourself. You have to try. That's the whole point. There's another, like, there's layers and layers. Show up for yourself, learn how to try hard, make it past the point of where you want to quit on yourself, and then you get the rewards. And you can do that consistently in almost any activity you apply yourself to.
Mm.
All right, last thing, pro tip. What do you got pro tip for season 11?
Oh, engage as much as you can. Like I agree with the warning of like like most things that we're excited by, it's very tempting to bite off more than we can chew. That is an extremely fitting example because during the evening up until this point, I ate too many pork rinds. My stomach is reminding me that I ate too many pork rinds as I'm saying this. But the point is, as tempting as it is to really go, the risk of overeating is real. However, it's I'd invite you to fly as close to the sun as you can, especially if it's your first time, because the the value is worth it, you know.
All right, so fly as close to the sun as you can, but don't overdose on the value. All right, good, 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 good. All right, I'm just gonna put it out to Lee and Danny. I'm gonna say, I love you guys for being here, but is there a chance you can come on Sunday? Because I want to go to Carlos, and then I feel I probably need to wrap this because 3.5 hours. I don't want the first meet and greet part to be too much intimidation for people to listen to in the first chunk. But I can make some time on Sunday, and we're going to be meeting at noon to go ahead and conclude the global meet and greet because there's a lot of people to meet. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot to hear about. If that's cool, then cool. And then Carlos, who I have met after his graduation, he went to the Porcupine Freedom Festival in New Hampshire, and he helped out at the Autonomy cocktail tent because we were providing cocktails to VIPs. How you doing, Carlos? You got your ears on?
Hi, Richard. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're teaching about the Emerald Tablet. Do you have what's the name of the book? Might be called the Emerald Tablet, but I'll find the author and I will take a picture of it because I can't think of it right now. His name's Daniel something or other. I
Oh,
remember
yeah. Please
reading.
do.
Yeah, do you have that book? Because that I thought out of all the text I read on that topic, that was the one that was like, oh, this is useful to me, and I can use these concepts every day, which is the gist of what the wisdom was about. And a lot of people get lost in all this other stuff that's not really applicable. And I was like, you just kind of like there's 9 stages, and which stage are you in right now? What did you just come out of, and what are you going into? That's what you need for your map. That was the practical thing that hit me. So I'm glad you're kind of like unfolding that for people. And congratulations on like making a public offering of like knowledge for consideration.
Yeah, thanks, Rich. Autonomy for me has been well, first of all, I'm super grateful for you having this course. It's completely changed my life. Right now I'm in the process of finishing the course. I started it with the Pro Media last season. And man, I like Justin said earlier, it's just I'm just so inspired by the things that just come out of it naturally, organically. Like so much so that I'm having a meeting this upcoming Monday. Um, and I pitched someone who I saw a problem, and I'm offering I'm working on my course, which has to do with light therapy. And so I made him a pitch. I said, hey, I can let you borrow my equipment for a month, and in exchange, if I can film the progress. And so now I'm considering even possibly even turning that into like a documentary of a sort. So um, yeah, I'm just super blessed, Richard, like of the opportunities that have come my way. I'm also working with Rawad. He just started his marketing firm. And so I'm assisting him with that, helping small businesses. Um, so we just had a meeting earlier today about that. And I mean, what can I say, Richard? I'm just super grateful, blessed. So thank you.
I appreciate your words of gratitude and I accept them, but I also want to like give half of them back because you said that like autonomy changed your life, but really autonomy is just the occasion for you to come and start changing your life consistently to be more in line with what you want.
Right. Yeah, that's why I keep coming back. Season 11 is going to be my third season. Um, there's so much I still need to learn, but you know, I just it just keeps getting easier and easier. Like in the beginning, things were very challenging for me because I'm not the most techie of persons, but I stuck to it through it, and now things are becoming a lot easier. Like uh, I'm one of the administrators for Do It Live, and now that's like it's I have a system in place now, and so I just follow it, and it makes things just so much more doable. And now I can see like the light at the end of the tunnel.
Do you feel that you are, for lack of a better term, better armed daily to deal with the situations that otherwise like were always happening, but now it's like you're able to be more response able?
Definitely, I think my confidence, I mean, it's like a 180. When I first came on in season 9, uh, I didn't really want to, unmute. It was hard for me. Also, talking to people, interviewing people was very challenging for me. I really didn't know how to. My interview skills were very poor. And now it's like my public speaking has improved. I can carry a conversation and like truly listen and ask profound like questions to see where possibly people are stuck and present some solutions. So I think more than anything, my confidence has really improved overall, where I feel confident now. I don't get shy as much when I speak to people. Even I speak with other clients or property owners or people who own their own businesses. Before that, I would get red in my face, and now it's like actually look forward to that. I thrive in that environment now.
Do you think you'd be as thriving in that environment if you hadn't put yourself on the line to host Do It Live a couple times?
I think that's what did it, Rich. The first time I hosted Do It Live, I remember I felt that rush. I felt so inspired afterwards, and I mean, I think that's why I still do it now. It's very close to my heart.
Yeah, it's like growth. That rush you're feeling is like what we're meant to do on a daily basis to meet the challenges. And they've convinced us all to like, don't grow, just be comfortable where you're at. Stay in your place, stay in your lane. Don't challenge the status quo. All right. What's your pro tip for season 11 students?
My pro tip for season 11 students would be the integration exercises. I'm just now starting to see the true value in them. And I think this season 11, I'm gonna do them all over again because uh, I think I just got my feet wet season 9 and season 10 with them. Like I did them, but not enough. And so now I really want to jump in and get to know all the whole community. And um, so I like that's one thing I would say to the new students is don't overlook the integration exercises. Because for me, initially I didn't want to do them. I was like, oh man, it seemed like work. And so now it's like,
Becoming a professional problem solver is a little bit of work with a whole lot of reward. So yeah, I mean, isn't it going to be work being poor and broke all the time too and not having the answers? Yeah, I guess so. So
true,
what do you want to do? We have choice now. Before,
true.
most people don't have choice. They just have this. But now you have choice. What do you want to do? All right, please go. I
Yeah.
feel like I
So
interrupted you.
no, no, no worries. So yeah, I would just say not to overlook the integration exercises. There's so much value in them, and listening to people's obstacles, their concerns, what motivates them, like why they do what they do. I think that's a super key. So I would just say that to the new students is don't overlook it. There's a lot of value in these exercises, uh, and the value that comes back usually comes back in ways that you would have never thought. At least that's how it's been for me.
Well, because the exercises are packed with so much value that it's hard for people to recognize what's going on with it, right? Because on one level, you're learning the interview skill set. On another level, you're learning the uber valuable listening skill set, right? And then as you go through and you start to apply these things, what are you doing? You're meeting all these super interesting people and you're given the keys to unlock them gushing out their interestingness to you in a way you can catch. And some of this you're going to use later because the person that has this problem has the solution over here and you introduce them and things happen, right? So that's what it means, like that people can't calculate what the positive consequences are going to be because we don't know till it happens. A lot of this is like you got to show up and just be there and stuff comes together. It's like the universe has a goal for everything that's going on, right? If you look at it from that perspective and you get in the way of its goal, like cool things are going to be happening there. Now, is the goal of this universe darkness and slavery and all sorts of like dystopia? But we're going to have to go through that phase as humanity to learn the benefits of not keeping that as a thing. Like it exists, but we're going to put it over here and we're going to go with logic and reason. And we're going to build a society that's more in line with a place that is not using force, fraud, violence, and coercion to establish some sort of authority. So authority should come from expertise and understanding and also the compassion, right? And all these other things that come with it. So thank you, Carlos, for making that contribution. Are you going to make it to the Porcupine Freedom Festival this year?
You know it.
All right.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to it.
Likewise.
And to every other graduate who made it here tonight who was hoping to maybe say a couple words, I invite you back on Sunday. I know it's going to be a crowded session because we only have 2 hours, it being Easter and everything, but also everything doesn't happen in the meet and greet. We have lots and lots of weeks to explore these topics together, to get to know one another, to make introductions. Don't feel pressure that if it didn't happen tonight or on Sunday, it's all going to work out. So we will bring this meeting to a conclusion. We will call this a success. We took off. We had the flight. We landed safely. And we're going to come back here, same place, Sunday, noon Eastern to 2 p.m. Eastern. We're going to meet some, not all, of the new students, just the ones who want to show up and say hi. There's no pressure. There's nothing mandatory. If you know you're not going to say anything on Sunday, please still come and listen and get to know your classmates and the other graduates and the resources available that come with your enrollment. So that's the gist. Leah and Martin and Colby and everybody who stepped up and broke the silence tonight and shared some of your wisdom, I want to thank you all. And to all of you new students, yay, welcome. You've overcome the first obstacle of many, but I'm going to tell you, getting into the course was about the most challenging part. There's no rocket science, there's no complicated calculus. Everything you're going to learn is learnable by anybody who made it through this process. So, congratulations. This is the first positive win. We're going to have some losses and failures because those are necessary to get those things out of the way to find your success sooner than later. With that all being said, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in and not dropping out. I will see you on Sunday for the Q&A. Happy Easter. I'll see you there. Peace.